You're listening to The Pete Shepherd Show.
Hey, everybody. Good morning. Happy Friday to you. Friday, 8/23, one day before week 0 of college football begins tomorrow. How's everybody doing on this Friday, everybody? Welcome to another edition of The Pete Shepherd Show right here on the Coastal Sports Network. Welcome, old friends, new friends, countrymen. It's great. This is the Pete Shepherd Show. I'm here Monday through Friday from 7 to 10 a.m. And it has just been fantastic. Got a great show lined up for you today. There's so much to talk about. Got some NFL camp news. Dangerous situation happened last night in the Bears football game. College football news, Georgia Tech and Florida State headline. Week 0 coming up tomorrow. We'll have an MLB rundown. Rick Pitino got robbed in his office. Definitely an inside job. We'll try to get to the bottom of it. How about the kids from Lake Mary Little League in Florida? Moving on to the Little League World Series championship, the U.S. championship against Texas. Some of the two best football states in the country going at it in Little League baseball for the championship and the right to face, I think Venezuela. Or is it Japan? One of those teams that won. We'll figure it out. Lots going on today. Got a great show lined up. Bill Spiro today, 30 a.m. from the Boston Herald, and also the senior betting analyst at bookies.com will join me. And at 9:05 for his weekly visit, John Meter-Perel, who's got a new gig also with Andrew Marchand on Tuesdays. He will join me to play-by-play voice for the BC Eagles and also our ACC correspondent. So we'll get his thoughts and break down a little bit further about Florida and Georgia Tech coming up at 9 o'clock. More radio firings from Beasley in Boston. And I don't know if you remember, Angel, former Senator Scott Brown, who lost a special election incredibly many years ago. I couldn't believe it, to Elizabeth Warren, but he did. But his daughter, Ayla Brown, was on American Idol. She's a sweet young lady, but they don't care about ratings. Most of these companies just don't care anymore. So she got canned on her morning show yesterday in Boston. And they replaced the morning country show with a syndicated show out of Nashville. And like we've talked about before, Angel, so many times, and went on my little rant yesterday about the embarrassment that has become WEEI. But the problem, these radio companies don't care. They just don't care. That's why terrestrial radio is dying, absolutely dying. And especially, as we said yesterday, in the Northeast, in Boston, in Philadelphia, in New York, it's such parochial markets, and you try to replace a local morning show, I don't care what format it is, with something syndicated, unless maybe it was Stern back in the day, 99.9% of the time, it ain't going to work. It ain't going to work in those markets. This isn't, Jerkweed, Idaho, where you're on 1160 a.m. at the end of the dial. But anyway, that's I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised, and most of the people in New England that listen to that show are outraged by it, and they're outraged more that it's replaced by a syndicated show out of Nashville. But there it is. We say good morning to Angel Martinez, executive producer, host extraordinaire. Good morning, Angel. How are you?
Good morning, Pete, and good morning, everyone. And I think we evaded the monstrous storms that are less than about, 20 miles off the Gulf Coast this morning. So we got lucky.
Oh, I got to tell you, it was it's the first time in about 3.5 days. No lightning down here in the Fort Myers area. You're up about an hour and 50 minutes from me, northwest in Tampa. And you really got crushed yesterday. I seriously was worried about your safety. You had 47 lightning strikes in like 47 seconds. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But no storms around here today, at least until about 6 o'clock. But so glad you're safe and happy and everything else. I know you've been working on the webpage. We've got awesome stuff lined up today. We'll go through the lineup as well on the show. Yesterday, apparently my rant attracted a lot of old listeners that I remember. My Twitter feed blew up. My favorite new Twitter friend, and I don't know his first name, obviously, was his handle is Jeffrey Bezos' long lost child. Of course, he might be the new owner of the Celtics when it's all said and done, as his name was thrown into the arena this week. But Anyway, I did want to say this. I want to do a special shout out to our one of our great listeners, Gas Pump Guy, who's in Lehigh Acres. There was another deadly crash last night. Before we get into the sports and everything else and the radio stuff, and I appreciate all the new listeners that have come on board that finally found the show. A lot of them from New England. Just so you guys know, Angel Martinez, great exec producer, co-host, has his own show after this, 10 a.m. until noon. Martinez and Company. He is a lifelong Philadelphia fan. Do not hold that against him. He has just as much passion, and he's not an a-hole like a lot of Philadelphia fans can be, as long as a lot of New England fans can be. I mean, we're just as bad. We're just and New York fans, same thing. So we're all one big happy family here. So it's great to have you on board. I got to start with this real quick. There's another deadly crash last night, Angel. You know this. Your family's down this area on State Road 82 again. Which, when you've been to my house, when you look out the back, it's you can't really tell in the day sometimes, but in the morning you can. It has become just a drag strip. It's awful. It's a deadly, deadly road. It happened again last night or yesterday. A semi truck hit a motorcycle. That guy's dead. You should see his motorcycle. They showed a picture of him with like a shoe and a blood stain, whatever. These people are speeding like 100 to 130 miles an hour down this road. It's a 27-mile stretch that begins, way before you get to Fort Myers. It's got to stop. And I know the sheriff's department around here has done a great job. They really have. They've been cracking down on speeding a lot. But there is something really wrong with it. It is incredibly awful how bad. I have never seen anything like it in my life, ever. Ever. Certainly not in New England, not like this. That people are drag racing down miles, going way over 100 miles an hour, and they do it sometimes in the middle of the day. Peanut Gallery and I went to a great meal last night at Cooper's Hawk in Fort Myers. Fairly new one. There's one in Naples that's been around forever, and the one in Cooper's Hawk has been open about a little bit less than a year. We had a great meal last night. Thank you to Cassie. Thank you to Julia for taking care of us. Great time and great meal. But just going by, going by Gateway High School, right? Just getting past there, and right before JetBlue, where the Red Sox play. This idiot, and this is at 4:00 in the afternoon. This idiot in his silver gray Mercedes must have been doing 90. Now, no one's going more than 50. The speed limit's 50, and it's that time of day with rush hour and all the schools getting out. I live in between two high schools, Gateway Charter and Gateway High School. So there's a lot of traffic that time of day. And I'm not usually out that time of day. But even in the middle of the day, you have these morons who are driving, 90 plus miles an hour. And I mean, like, there's that much space, they try to fit through it, and they don't care. They don't care. And it's not just fancy cars; it's a lot of people. And even though the police are out there in full force and they're doing their best, you always, I pray that there's always a sheriff down here that sees that. And, I don't get that lucky. You wanted to pull them over right away. I don't know how there's not more crashes. There's so many deadly crashes down there. There's been a bunch of them already this year. But they got to do something. They got to do something on that road. I don't know what it's going to take. Stadies, local police. It has to stop. It is brutal. It is dangerous. I saw on the news this morning people living around that neighborhood in Lehigh Acres, and it's just you fear to just come out onto 82 from some of the side streets. It's insane. I know our buddy Gas Pump Guy lives around there, and so do a lot of other listeners that we have in Lehigh Acres. But it's got to stop. I mean, it has got to stop, and I really don't get it. Like, what people are trying to prove. I mean, what are you trying to prove? That and these people with these stupid, idiotic, childish, and over the top loud mufflers, which they apparently get on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. What are you trying to prove? You look like a fucking idiot. You sound like an idiot. I mean, you're at I love when they're at the light, right? And they're revving the car to like they're in a Happy Days episode from the 70s. I mean, what are you trying to prove? That your muffler is loud? All it is obnoxious. Obnoxious. It's the same people that turn the bass up on the radio. And I felt like this, like all the way up. Like we're supposed to be impressed because you're listening to some jackass song so you have to blow everybody's ears off when your car's bouncing, shaking because of the bass and the window in the car. I mean, honestly, I don't get it. I don't get what these people are trying to prove. You're more of a man than me because you rev your car at the light with a stupid muffler, or you can go 110 miles an hour, 120 miles an hour down SR 82 and try not to kill somebody. That makes you a man. That makes you tough. You're a tough guy. No, it makes you an idiot and a fool. I don't care what car you drive. I've just had it. I hope. I don't care if they do a month surveillance out there. I'm telling you, start at like 2:00 in the morning and go to like 10 in the morning, and just pull it. It's horrible what has happened. And Angel knows I'm not exaggerating. You got to see these idiots how they speed up and down that road.
No, 82, after they expanded, it did become a raceway for some reason. It was better it was bad enough, Pete, when it was just a 2-lane, one way, across east and west.
Yeah.
Because then
Which it still is in parts, like around Immokalee and down that area.
Yeah.
It still is.
Right. But up by your house, when you get off of 75 there, it's freaking ridiculous the way those people end up running. I mean, and they haul it. You try to make a right turn. Like if you're coming south and then trying to turn east, or is that west? As you're trying to turn west onto 82, like you have to watch for a car that's doing literally what feels like 1,000 miles an hour, or a motorcycle for that part. And even though there's billboards all around Florida that says, watch out for motorcycles, there are a lot of them that do pay attention. They pay attention to your surroundings, but you got some other ones on these super crotch rockets that they want to take off and weave in between cars, and then they wonder why they get into an accident. But 82's gotten bad. And then what's the other one over by the Wawa off of 82 as well?
Well, 82 and then Daniels Parkway, which is off. That's another one. I mean, you're going. Those of you who are down here for spring training, it gets horrible down here. Right before right around Skyplex and up to JetBlue, down to Tree Line, which intersects with Daniels. If you keep going straight through Tree Line, then you head towards Cape Coral, you head towards the beach, Fort Myers Beach. But it's so bad. Daniels is almost as bad as 82. It really is. It's just in the morning. It's gridlocked because when school's in session, it's gridlocked in the morning. And I still can't believe I was going by Gateway Charter yesterday, Angel. The amount of cars. I don't know how you parents do it nowadays. There had to be 200 plus cars lined up, not blocking traffic, lined up to go pick up their child at the school. How do you wait that long? And like you said, that somebody was showing up 3 hours before just so they wouldn't have to wait in line.
It's insane.
Yeah. Gas Pump Guy says, good morning. Have a good day. Pete starting the day with a rant. I love it. Yeah. Well, I mean, and Gas Pump Guy, you live over by this area, what I'm talking about. I mean, it's brutal. And I know the neighbors that live in those neighborhoods, those side streets, they're scared to take a right onto the road. And God forbid you have to cross and go left. Forget that.
And I'm trying to think, there's one more in the area too, like off of Daniels Parkway. Where's that? There's a shopping center over there. There's I don't know, it's Fresco y Mas and some other thing. I forget the name of that road, but that's another one. Like if you're heading towards Mom's house up that way, it's the same way. And that's narrow. Those roads are narrow, and yet you still have people that drive out of control. But it's lunacy. I mean, there's parts here on 275 and 75 up in Tampa.
Yeah,
it gets nuts. And in I-4, you think that you're shuttling an Amazon rocket through I-4, and state police have tried to do the best they possibly can. Now they've changed their cars up to like Dodge Challengers to blend in with the normal traffic, because if people know like where they used to park on. Now they switched it up, so at least you don't know. And then they got this one truck, the sweetest thing I've ever seen as far as for
sweet.
Official police vehicle. And that thing takes off. I don't know what they put in there. I don't know if they got 2 cans of nitros or something else, but I did it once before. And it seemed like as soon as he hits the light, it was just caught up on the car. But people need to slow down. It's not worth it. I mean, if you got to go somewhere, we've heard this before, where take your time, leave early. I do it all the time with Debbie. Anytime we go somewhere, I leave early. I don't have time to try to get there. Why am I going to leave my house at 7:57 when I have to be somewhere exactly at 8 o'clock? It's not going to take me 3 minutes to get there. That's for sure.
No. All right, everybody. That's my little soapbox rant. is much shorter than yesterday's 1 hour rant going off on WEI, the embarrassment
That was
that has become. A lot of people liked it. I know my buddy Kirk Manahan as well on Barstool Sports, and he went at it as well. I listened to his comments yesterday. We're both dead on balls, accurate, to quote my good friend Mona Lisa Vito from my cousin Vinny. So thanks everybody for checking me out and checking out the entire network out of the Coastal Sports Network video platform. Spalding, get your foot off the boat. Spalding says, hello, Pete and Angel. Hello. Follow me on Twitter, X at PShep326, on my Facebook at SR1029 The Game, and also SR1029TheGame.com. And I'm going to have Angel go over, because I know we have a few new listeners today, go over exactly what we're doing here and how to download the app and all that stuff. We're powered by Ion TV, Ion Tampa Bay, powerful Jedi they are. CSN Florida, Rumble, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitch, YouTube. You won't find a bigger video platform than what we have on this network. It's impossible. It's impossible not to find me. And if not, I'm going to come into your homes like this. Like my hat. Angel doesn't like that hat.
a good one.
My buddy Jim gave me that. I have so many hats, I don't even know. Anyway, you can call or text the show as well, 727-858-6650. That is the number to call or text. It's better off texting than, but anyway. So great guests lined up today. Bill Sparrows from the Boston Herald and senior betting analyst at bookies.com. We'll get his thoughts on all that stuff. And then John Meter-Perrell at 9:05 a.m. And then after the show today, right, Angel Martinez, you have your show coming up.
Yep. Good show coming up today as we have Larry Schechter, if I remember his last name correctly, who wrote a fantasy book about gambling, fantasy sports, how big it's all getting. So he'll be on today at 10:30. At 11 o'clock, I'm going to have Coach Chris Brown from the USF Women's Soccer, along with Senorita Galak, which is the goalkeeper. And it's going to be a great conversation with those two. So I can't wait for everyone to listen in on that one. And then more stuff there and possibly one more person to try to squeeze in. But as Dylan says, he's getting ready to head to the World Center of Racing. He's up for Daytona once again. It used to be the 4th of July race.
He's in Colorado, right? He's in Denver.
No, Dylan. No, he's heading up to Daytona.
No, he's heading up to Daytona. Who's our buddy? Oh, who's
Joey
the
B.
guy in Joey B? He's the one that get all the listeners mixed up. So many, yeah. So that's great. Yeah, Daytona will be. That's something. As you know, I know jack squat about NASCAR, but it's obviously very popular. And certainly, that's one of the biggest races of the year. The casual fan like myself would even tune in. For me, maybe like 4 seconds, but it's a big deal for a lot of people. It's a lot of people. Peanut Gallery with a couple of Peanut Gallery said she gave me the hat, not Jim. Sorry, Jim gave me another hat, and then she sent me this. And I don't know if you can find this story, and we'll get to it eventually. Australian woman engages in a sex act with a trout.
What the
heck?
With
a fish. Yeah, with a fish.
Oh.
Australian woman engages in sex act with a trout. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Exactly. Although I did see.
Enjoy that visual while you're having your Fruit Loops this morning, or whatever it is.
Ironically, I saw someone went to a Chinese restaurant. I don't know where it was. I don't think it was here in the States, but they took their chopstick to the fish's and the friggin' fish was still alive, and ended up biting on the chopstick, and it was on the plate, which is just weird. Dylan says at certain tracks, 4 seconds will give you a lap of action, Pete. That's true.
Oh, I will. Absolutely. All right, let's get into some football. There were a couple of games last night. I'm proud to say I can't invest time. I'll invest time watching my Patriots on Saturday night on NBC. The whole country can watch third and fourth, fifth string people play. Don't know how long Drake May is going to play for the Patriots, but I hope he plays some. And it seemed like more and more, we're going to hear a cut from Alex Van Pelt, the OC for the Patriots. I don't know. They could be getting closer to starting Drake May. He seems to have taken that next step in camp. It appears that way, that maybe he'll get the nod over Jacoby Brissett, but we'll see. But last night, one game was on NFL Network, one game was on Amazon. And Angel, if you could scroll down, it's the second one down. And if you're new to the show, we play a lot of video on this show. We do have the app that you can download. It will be available in the App Store shortly. Angel will explain all this coming up for all you newbies out there. But we play a lot of video as much as possible on this program. And I play stuff that I find entertaining and informative. of all sports and all entertainment. So last night on Amazon, television networks are also in preseason mode as well. But this absolutely cannot happen during the regular season. Al Michaels was not happy. Al Michaels, Kirk Herbstreit calling the game last night between the Bengals and the Colts. Some of it anyway. You see what I'm talking about, Angel?
While you're out in the kitchen.
I can't see it.
No, hold on. Because
that's the one.
Yeah, sometimes when you superimpose it, it has its moments when it wants to start by itself, but yeah, it's coming up.
Okay. So yeah, this happened last night in case you missed it.
Oh boy.
While you were out in the kitchen, the Colts scored. Knee not down, ball is there, you can see it. Challenge is successful. They get the touchdown to go up by 9 with the extra point forthcoming.
So if you watched it on Amazon last night, you didn't get to see that. I mean, how the hell does that happen? I even, look, I know Amazon's sort of new to the game now, but it's been a couple of years. Come on. Colts win 27-14. And their bigger issue there is their quarterback, Anthony Richardson. What's going on with him? He's been Metza the entire camp, mostly, and really less than Metza, more Male, bad. So anyway, but I mean, it's so ridiculous that I don't know how you miss a touchdown? You miss a touchdown. The worst thing about watching games on Amazon is that you can't switch off. Like if you're watching, and you know me, I don't watch regular commercial TV.
Right.
I just don't. I refuse. I mean, sporting events, yes, it's one thing. But, flipping around through football games or having, the quad box up on YouTube TV and all that stuff, that's fine. But the problem is you can't switch. You can't, like, when you go to commercial and football on Amazon, it's a pain in the ass to go back to regular TV. Because it takes a minute, it takes 30 seconds or a minute, and before you get to where you want. So you got to stick with it. And you're forced to watch these idiotic commercials on Amazon, and then to find out that they come back late. Totally embarrassing. Absolutely, completely embarrassing.
That was bad.
Yeah.
All right.
Paul on Twitter says, for Boston sports fans who miss the days of good sports radio on EEI, check out me, Pete Shepherd Show. Makes me nostalgic, and it's good. Hey, if I can make it move, that's what I do. If you're feeling a little tingly in the nether regions, man or woman, that's my goal. It's sports and it's entertainment. So it's glad a lot of people jumped on board yesterday. Finally, I mean, we've been doing this for a while now, and the thing is, as most of you know, I feel sorry that don't worry about other radio stations switching formats or all that stuff. There is plenty here. Digital radio, this is it. Terrestrial radio is going on top. Odyssey's going bankrupt. Beasley's going bankrupt. People have gone out of business. I've said before, there was a station in Texas, a big station, not too long ago, just said, fuck it, and switched on a dime to digital, and they carried Texas Longhorn games and a lot of other stuff, and were a pretty highly rated station, and they just flipped the switch and said, that's it, we're done with terrestrial, we're just going digital. This is the nature of the beast. This is where it's going to be. So, Angel, before we get into more, we'll wait till after the break. When we come back, it's after 7:30. I want you to explain to everybody exactly, what we do, because this is really, you control the network. Everybody, we have a bunch of different shows on this network that are awesome. We'll get into all of it as well. And Angel will explain everything to you. And, it's a free, we talk about whatever we like. I try to bring up the topics of the day, stuff that I find is interesting. It's not just New England based or Philadelphia based, although a lot lately it has been. But I'm not going to shy away from how I feel about what's going on in the business as far as radio goes. The guests, in case you don't know, who are on the show a lot, my buddy Glenn Ordway is on at least once a month, maybe twice a month as well. A lot of people from the New England area on. There's a lot of national people that are on as well. And I try to get guests on who, even the ones that are on from New England, like Bill Sparrows, who's coming up from the Boston Herald. He is great. He's not just here to talk about New England stuff. He's also a senior betting analyst at bookies.com. By the way, we're going to hear from my friend, one of his clips from yesterday, Gabe Morency, my man. He'll start being on with us every Friday starting next week. But he has a little minute video of exactly, and I agree with him 100%. He has 4 picks coming up for week 0 tomorrow. I agree with all of them. it's fantastic. So we'll play that as well. So you're going to hear that. Working on, hopefully, Phil Yates will be joining us starting in a couple of weeks. He'll be joining us every Thursday. We have Rick Horo, who's on with us, our sports business guru, the professor, who could not be with us yesterday, Angel, because he was out gallivanting in Maine as well. But he is one of the best sports business people out there, nationally known. Everybody knows him, and he's a great guy. So we'll have his only fault is he went to Duke, but he did go to Harvard. He did go to Harvard too, but.
I think a lot of people too. And I love when Rick comes on because Rick always he always busts chops. And for those who don't know, Rick likes to have fun with us. And every time he comes on, he tells Pete, "I know it's your show, but this is my segment. So you quiet down. I'm going to talk to you." Don't ever take what Rick says super serious. He always just likes to goof around with us.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And the fact that he the last 2 times has gotten on via video. Finally using the Chrome app. I mean, that in itself was that was like pulling teeth. It was like giving out a root canal here. But anyway, he's a great guy. He's too busy. And again, he seriously lives next door to Serena Williams. It's like it's 2 houses down. It's crazy. And I think she's played tennis on his court before too. Nice. But that's how he's all over the country, all over the place. Okay, before. We get into a lot of NFL news, which is coming up after the bottom of the hour. Angel, if we could scroll down, you got to love this. You got to love when college football is here. This is from On3. So Miami, not Mario Cristobal, that one, not the great one. Miami of Ohio in the MAC, the head coach, Chuck Martin. So his kicker, Graham Nicholson, decided, I don't want to play for Miami of Ohio. I'd rather go play for not Nick Saban, but I'm going to go to Alabama anyway. And I'm trying to think. I don't know who let's see. This is Jed DeMusi, who is a local TV guy and a Miami, Ohio U alum. So he had an interview yesterday with Coach Chuck Martin, who's
special teams. Lost your kicker. Carter McLaughlin.
He's at. We didn't lose him. He's at Alabama. We know
I understand.
We know exactly where he's at. Like you media people, it's all pretend. Like no, Alabama stole our kicker.
Yes,
they illegally recruited our kicker and stole him from us. And like that's a fact. But that's but we act like it's not. We live in this la world. Like hey, let's not talk. I don't know why everybody knows what's going on. So yeah, Alabama stole our kicker. A couple other schools tried to steal it, but then okay, what's the question?
All right, special teams lost you.
Like at the very end. Okay, what's the question?
That's the most pub Miami of Ohio has gotten for their football program in a long time. Let me tell you. But he's funny. I like Chuck Martin. That's funny. Yeah. Well, God forbid you lost your. Are you kidding me? God forbid you lost your play. They illegally recruited him. Is that a nil thing? I don't know what nil. It's hard to know what is illegal or what is legal now in college football. I mean, it's about nil money, and DeBoer's there now, taking a place in Nick Saban in Alabama. So, I'm sure it won't be the last time that somebody from the MAC gets stolen and gone off to the SEC. But they illegally recruited our kicker. What they do? Lead him with Reese's Pieces like ET. Hey, come down. No.
I know. The only thing that would have made that a little bit better would have been from Waterboy when he started. Hey,
speaking of Adam Sandler, so the Happy Gilmore 2 is coming out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Happy Gilmore 2 is coming out. I think they're filming it in Florida. I'm not sure. I thought I heard that they were. All I know is I got some notice to apply as an extra, so I did. I mean, whatever.
Right.
They sent out crap. There's still stuff that when I was in SAG, back in the day and all that. Then the union busted. And anyway, I get shit from time to time from various media agencies,
right,
to put my name in for this or that an extra, which means just standing there. But $500 is $500 for 30 seconds worth of work. Or sometimes it could be 3 hours worth of work for 30 seconds standing there. Anyhow, we digress. All right, when we come back, lots of NFL news. Angel Martinez is going to update everybody, all our newbies, on what we do here, which is awesome, and the awesome Coastal Sports Network. And glad you can be a part of it. Tell your friends. Tell your friends. NFL camp news coming up next here on the Pete Shepherd Show on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Andersen windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Andersen windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Jim and the Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our second location. It's on 41 just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak, our Maxwell Polish, now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu. And guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced Jardiniere.
Eye on Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, iontp.com. Eye on Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, the game powered by Eye on Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class. Let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Awesome. Where were you, Jill?
Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Don't spaz out because your team lost. Let Pete do it for you. Now, back to the Pete Shepherd Show.
Welcome back here to the Pete Shepherd Show. It's Friday. Freaky Friday, my little minions. Nuts out there. How are you? Thanks for checking us out here on the Coastal Sports Network. I am me. He is Angel. And we are having one hell of a time welcoming a lot of new people to the network. It is absolutely fantastic. We'll get to some NFL camp news coming up in just a little bit. Also got some early look at some lopsided Week 1 college football side bets that are going on as well. And we'll get into this more when Bill Sparrows joins me next hour at 8:30 from the Boston Herald and senior betting analyst at bookies.com. And then John Meter-Perrell at 9:05 with play-by-play voice for the Eagles. And you also hear him do basketball on the ACC Network, ESPN platform as well. We'll get his thoughts coming up on Georgia Tech and Florida State, as well as a little update on the Eagle football team. But Angel, lots of good stuff going on here at the network. So just, brief synopsis to tell some of our new listeners, what they can expect on this network. There's a lot of great shows, but some people are a little technically challenged as far as they need an absolute follow the bouncing ball type of thing, like they used to have with the old Casper the Friendly Ghost stupid cartoons. But go ahead, Angel, take it away.
The Casper was great. At least when we came back from school, my sister and I, it was always a good time. But you guys always see up there on the screen, sr1029thegame.com. That is the website where you guys can find all the information about what goes on here on the network. And I'm constantly updating things so you guys can interact and see exactly what's happening. But if you go to the very part of the homepage, and you guys will hear us say this just in case, like Facebook or YouTube, which they've been notorious, depending on what we play. Sometimes they don't like what we play, but you guys can go.
Yeah, I got real quick. Not to interrupt you. I got a message yesterday. What the hell was that? We didn't about something was blocked or something. I mean, I know them in the past with some music because they hate your intro. They really hate your intro.
Yeah,
so we get these stupid messages sometimes from Facebook or YouTube. And they're all bullshit because we have access to it. Anyway, it's a public domain. So and we can do whatever the hell we want, basically.
No, that's what we do. Sometimes it all depends on just what you want to play, and that's what they end up playing you, which is the silliest thing ever. But you guys can end up watching the live show there if you see the mouse kind of going over it. But you guys can go over and see the live show right from the app, by the way, that you can download, which is directly to the right of the live show, right on the center part of the screen. It'll tell you to download the app. If you click on it, if I click on it now, of course, I'm going to start the download process.
No, don't do that.
Where you download the app as well, you can text and or call the show directly from your app as well. So it makes it super convenient. Down below it is the web player, meaning that's where the digital radio station plays, everything that goes on throughout the day. And then the exclusive lineup that happens here throughout the day as well, where you guys can see what's coming up, even when Pete comes on throughout the repeat of the day. So you guys can, if you missed the show, you can go back and hear it as well. We got you covered when it comes to the Tampa Bay Sun Football Club, which tomorrow will be match number 2 at 7 o'clock, which I'll be back there at Riverfront Stadium, along with USF, as the men lost their first match last night 4-1. But coming up later on, as I mentioned, will be the head coach, Chris Brown, and the goalkeeper on with us, Rick Caro. You guys know him. His latest updates will always be available there, along with other things that happen. And then if you go over to the sports radio tab, you guys can see that it's almost not repetitive. What you'll end up seeing is the other live shows, and then the drop-down boxes that we have up there available for you. If you click on, for example, Pete's name, it will take you out to Pete's Twitter handle or X handle. The same way with the rest.
There's no nude pictures, although I'm working on it.
Yeah, but that's up there along with the different shows that come on. You guys can see that through different windows. The Monday night show, the Wednesday night show, which is a great time with the crew from Talking Hoops, our live show there. And then the best part about this is that you guys can watch the replay of all the shows throughout the day. You can come back, which I call the instant replay of it. But yesterday's show's posted up there along with the audio that you guys can listen to at any given point in time. And then the tweet that goes along with it. So you guys know when the shows were updated from the last time.
Amazing.
All
This
that
guy
stuff goes on.
work of 5 people.
And by the way, our photographer, Alex Walworth, that we're proud and honored to have him here. He's the official sports photographer of Sports Radio 102.9. He has some amazing quality pictures. If you guys are looking for a professional photographer for your sports venue or for your venue at all, go up there. He is our official photographer. You go to his portfolio site and check out everything that Alex has going on. And again, as I mentioned before, we got you covered when it comes to women's soccer. So that's right there. What goes on in the latest. So a lot of good stuff that happens. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of fun. Sometimes I drive myself nuts like I did yesterday. It was about 14 hours worth, a lot of stuff that had to be completed, but it's what we do. Make sure you guys download the app. That's the only thing we ask. It's absolutely free. Doesn't cost you guys a thing. And it doesn't matter if you have Android, Apple, tablet, PC.
Yep.
Let's go there, download it. Super simple set of instructions. You guys will never miss a show or things that we do here on the network.
Awesome, Angel. Thank you so much. Again, next hour, really after 8 o'clock, we're going to get into more NFL stuff and some college football stuff, and an old Mike Gundy rant that I know you're going to appreciate, just to kick off the fact that college football begins tomorrow. Cannot wait. Noontime on ESPN, Florida State, Georgia Tech, live from Dublin. And Red Sox Report, if those of you don't know, we do the Red Sox Report every day here, Monday through Friday at 8:15, sponsored by Moynihan Lumber. So we'll do a little preview of their series coming up with Arizona. That'll be at 8:15. It's usually just like a minute, 90-second segment. Then when they do play, I recap the game and play all the highlights, some from NESN, some from the opposing radio station, the visiting radio station or TV station, whatever that may be. And as always, let me get this out of the way. For the best articles and audio, there's only one source that provides everything you need 365 days a year to satisfy your sports craving. It's Total Sports Prep. The staff combs through the best articles and audio so you don't have to. The sports and non-sports kicker stories will leave you laughing all day long. To get your free trial of Total Sports Prep, contact them. info@sportsbroadcastingcoach.com. That's info@sportsbroadcastingcoach.com. You see it right there, the bottom of the screen. Total Sports Prep, the name says it all. All righty. Let's go. Speaking of Total Sports Prep, Angel, if I may impose upon you to, and if you don't know, again, a little behind the scenes stuff. Angel has to play. I have it in front of me, but Angel has to actually play it from his end. There's one little glitch to this whole thing is that I cannot play the sound. I can hear it, but Angel can't hear it, and you can't hear it. So, said Poppy's no good to nobody. Anyway, Angel will play all the cuts. I call for them on the audio and video. So let's start with some news around NFL camp. Let's begin with Baltimore head coach John Harbaugh opens his presser yesterday. He thanks the Green Bay Packers for being so hospitable, Angel.
Oh, boy.
Here in beautiful Green Bay. It is a beautiful day. Really amazing facility, great fields, great fans. And we sure appreciate the Packers for hosting us here for this practice. They're a high-class team, well coached by Coach LaFleur. And then the whole organization, I would go back to Bob Harlan, okay? Bob Harlan, a guy, I've gotten to be really good friends with his family. Brian is my agent, but Bob Harlan, his fingerprints are all over this place. And he built this thing up from the ground floor to what it is today. So we appreciate that. We're very grateful.
All right. Meanwhile, the next cut, that again, thanks there from the Ravens webpage. This is from the Buffalo Bills webpage. Von Miller saying leadership is in good hands in Buffalo.
Yeah, TB for sure. And, I'll just be his vice president. I'm the vice president that's been there before, and I support him on whatever decision that he make. And I told him the other day, it's not about always, waiting for the right time to say something or waiting for the right thing. You just got to say it, and then I'll back you up on that. So leadership is in good hands here with the Buffalo Bills.
All right. Next cut, Matt Eberflus. And by the way, I refuse to watch Hard Knocks anymore. I watched the first episode. I haven't watched the last two. And the reason being is that we'll get to Douglas Coleman in a minute because he got seriously hurt last night, and we'll try to get an update for you. But out of respect for the McCaskey family, who owns the Bears, by the way, George Halas is rolling over in his grave. Hard Knocks will feature the Bears with no cursing allowed. So I'm not watching it. I'm not watching it. I don't censor on HBO. That's ridiculous. I don't know why they agreed to it. I don't know why they agreed to it, unless they couldn't get another team. But the McCaskey said in the beginning, before they started filming, no swearing. I mean, that's a fucking joke, to be honest with you. It really is. In this day and age, on HBO, we're going to censor. We're going to bleep out cursing. Can you imagine if George Halas was still around?
He'd go ballistic. That's the reason why you subscribe to HBO.
Yeah.
Everybody freaking knows. I mean, that's a part of it. It's what happens on the field.
It's just I can't stand. I won't watch. I think that show is highly overrated anyway. But it is what it is. All right. Matt Eberflus, though, admitting that they lack some depth at defensive tackle.
Do you have concern about your depth right now at defensive tackle? You've got, Pickens has been out.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot of experience after your starters and Zach.
Yeah, it's not as strong as deep as you'd want for sure. So there is a concern there, and we'll be looking at that. As we go. I know Cowart's done a nice job in there. For the limited time he's played, today and then before, and in practice he's looked good. So, we have some options there, but we're definitely going to look at that.
We all look good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. There are a couple of, a couple of games that went on last night, and Anthony Richardson out of Florida, a couple of years in the league now, got hurt last year, didn't have a lot of playing experience in college, but he was drafted very high, and expectations are very high for him. But he's been kind of stinky, and this was not a great play last night. This is from NFL Network. Jordan Battle's pick 6 off Anthony Richardson, second and last cut on page 1, Angel.
Clean pocket, but it's picked off. Jordan Battle, right there. Touchdown.
All right, and if we could go down to page 2 and get the analysis. Where is it? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cut down. Kirk Herbstreit on Anthony Richardson after the pick 6. Again, NFL Network. 6 cut down on page 2, Angel.
This is it, really, in a nutshell, with what we just talked about. We just talked about how great he looked. Opening drive. Here's Battle, and watch the accuracy issues. Throws the ball to the inside. Granson, a tight end, cuts to the outside, and he puts the ball more to the inside there. And again, they're going to talk on a sideline. You don't know if Granson should have settled. He cuts that to the outside, but that's the issue with Anthony Richardson. Looks great for a drive, and then you have a play like that, and it's a pick 6 going the other way.
Yeah, no question. Again, and he's right. Whether the tight end was supposed to go left, go right, or stay put, but Anthony Richardson has not looked good. And afterwards, also 2 cuts. Let's see, the next cut. Hang on a second. Okay, yeah, 2 cuts down after that, Angel. Herbie talking about possibility of a conflict between Joe Flacco and Anthony Richardson for the starting job for Indy.
Let me ask you something here. If you're Shane Steichen, best case scenario, Anthony Richardson, he lives up to what we all hope he can do. Running, throwing, he's healthy. This team has a great year, and he's a superstar, right? What if he struggles? What if he has a good drive or a good game and then a bad game, a good game and a bad game? He's a pick. Everybody's kind of expecting him to be the guy. You got a guy like Joe Flacco with the roster they have. I just wonder how you handle that if it goes down that path, if you're Shane Steichen, because you know what you're going to get in Joe Flacco.
Yeah, that's Evan Hall. I would think you can feel it inside the team at that point, too. What are the guys thinking? Do we make the change here? What do we do? Yeah. I think you read the room is what I would do.
Yeah. Again, we're all hoping to see him have a monster year and lead this team to great things. But that's the big thought. I think even if you're a Colts fan, you're hoping to see Anthony Richardson be this guy that can run this offense that Jalen Hurts ran 2 years ago in Philly, and he's running zone read and he's making plays. But if it's inconsistent, how long do you go until you start to maybe have that kind of discussion.
Well, it's almost like, what you do with any rookie quarterback. He's not a rookie, but in effect, he only played 4 games last year.
Yeah.
And he has very little experience.
The reality is the roster around the quarterback spot, this is a playoff team.
Second and
Yeah. Now, did you hear? Did you hear the producer at one point go 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Anyway, if we could go back up, Angel, and play the last cut on page number 1. Bo Nix recently named QB1 for the Denver Broncos, and here's OC Joe Lombardi on that. This is from the Broncos webpage.
You can feel his 61 games played in college. He's not, with experience, just, there comes a calmness comes along with it. And so he certainly doesn't feel like a rookie. He's learning a brand new system. So, whether you're a veteran or a rookie coming in, that's common to all these people. But he's seen a lot and, doesn't make the same mistake twice very often. And so there's just there's a maturity level that I think when you draft a guy who's a little bit older, you hope that comes with it. So, but he's certainly shown that.
All right. No question. If we could scroll down to a little bit to Douglas Coleman. It's right after the NFL cuts. But Bears defensive back Douglas Coleman III was hospitalized last night. Scary. Suffered an injury while making a tackle during the 34-21 win over Kansas City at Arrowhead. The first play of scrimmage in the second half when Coleman was tackling Kansas City's Cornwell Powell near the Chiefs sideline. After the game, head coach Matt Eberflus with an update.
Yeah, so Coleman, so when I was on the field, standing over there on the Chiefs sideline, he was moving his limbs. He gave us a thumbs up. So that was really lifting to our football team. But I don't have anything more than that. He's at the hospital right now being evaluated. That's all I have for him.
That's the latest I have, too. So it's good that he was moving his extremities, and hopefully he will be okay. Just, God, you hate to see it, especially in just a meaningless preseason game. But look, it's a violent game. We all know that. It's a violent game. We'll have more NFL sound coming up in just a little bit. College football stuff. This happened yesterday. Really didn't get to it. Iowa football coach Kirk Ferentz and assistant John Budmeyer were suspended for the Hawkeyes opening game because apparently a school imposed penalty for a recurring violation in late 2022. He's the longest tenured coach in the FBS. He's been there forever, since 99. Admitted to a level 2 violation for contacting a player and her family prior to him entering the transfer portal. It's such absolute nonsense. So what does it all mean? Ferentz doesn't get to coach against Illinois State. No, not the alumni, Illinois State, where the Hawkeyes will probably score more than 6 points in that one. It's certainly a possibility. They don't score more than 6 points often, but they should against that team. All right, Angel, before we go to break here, because it is a college football season and week 0 begins tomorrow with several games. Right underneath my Twitter page is an oldie but a goodie, Angel. Who could ever forget, not too long ago, where Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State had one of the great rants of all time against the media. You people in the media, you people. This is classic.
Outkick.
That's it. Yep.
This was brought to me by a mother of children. I think this is worth reading. Let me tell you why I want to talk about this article. 3/4 of this is inaccurate. It's fiction. And this article embarrasses me to be involved with athletics tremendously. And that article had to have been written by a person that doesn't have a child and has never had a child that's had their heart broken and come home upset and had to deal with the child when he is upset and kick a person when he's down. Here's all that kid did. He goes to class. He's respectful to the media. He's respectful to the public. And he's a good kid. And he's not a professional athlete. And he doesn't deserve to be kicked when he's down. If you have a child someday, you'll understand how it feels. But you obviously don't have a child. I do. If your child goes down the street and somebody makes fun of him because he dropped a pass in a pickup game, or says he's fat, and he comes home crying to his mom, you'd understand. But you haven't had that. But someday you will. And when your child comes home, you'll understand. If you want to go after an athlete, one of my athletes, you go after one that doesn't do the right things. You don't downgrade him because he does everything right and may not play as well on Saturday. And you let us make that decision. That's why I don't read the newspaper. Because it's garbage. And the
Apparently you
editor
do.
that let it come out is garbage. Attacking an amateur athlete for doing everything right. And then you want to write articles about guys that don't do things right and downgrade them, the ones that do make plays. Are you kidding me? Where are we at in society today? Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40. I'm not a kid. Write something about me or our coaches. Don't write about a kid that does everything right, that's heart's broken, and then say that the coaches said he was scared. That ain't true. And then to say that we made that decision because Donovan Woods, because he threatened to transfer, that's not true. So get your facts straight. And I hope someday you have a child and somebody downgrades them and belittles them, and you have to look them in the eye and say, you know what? It's okay. They're supposed to be mature adults, but they're really not. Who's the kid here? Who's the kid here? Are you kidding me? That's all I got to say. Makes me want to puke.
That's a great word, puke. That's funny. So yesterday on McAfee's show, he was on too, and I think they might have brought it up. But Mike is very entertaining. I love him. And so I go back to, before we go to break. I go back to last year's USC UCLA game. Caleb Williams afterwards. Remember at the Rose Bowl going into this crying because UCLA kicked their ass. And that's where I think I told you about this. We had just started working together back then. And I was like, I question, it's not his fault. He's putting up a gazillion points. It's not your fault that Lincoln Riley has no clue with that with that team how to play defense. It was pathetic. And Chip Kelly was all over it for UCLA. And just got the better of them again, like most teams did against USC. I mean, they had to score 60 points a game to win, it seemed, last year. But when he went into the stands and started crying with his mom because they lost again. Mm-hmm. I mean, I understand all that, but that at that time did not sit well with me because, it's not like you were heartbroken. You didn't you're not going to the national championship or you're not going any, I know it's a big rivalry game that you lost to your arch rival. I get all that stuff, but the way they were losing was happening consistently all year long. It was nothing new. He just got tired of putting up 40-plus points and losing. And I always thought maybe, not to call him soft, because it's not fair. But I just was like, really? You're going to cry to your mommy because you lost to UCLA because your defense sucks? It wasn't his fault. He played great. So I always thought that whatever team drafted him, we pretty much knew it was going to be the Bears. That I always wondered, what is he going to really be about? And I still wonder, even though they built a really good offense around him in Chicago, and the pressure is absolutely going to be on it's unrealistic pressure, because if that kid does not perform with that offense, he's been put into a very, very good situation. It's not like Bo Nix in Denver. If Bo Nix had the offense that in Chicago, totally different story. But Caleb Williams is going to have a ton of unnecessary pressure on him. You heard Tom Brady talking about it earlier this week and others. It's not right. It's not right that all these rookie quarterbacks in this day and age are like you're thrown into a situation and it's flashover stuff. You got to win now. Otherwise, you stink. There's no more patience anymore for the developmental process, which is why my friends in New England, and I know they're pissed right now at the state of the Patriots, and I get that because, they had salary cap space. They have Drake May. And I'm sure they want to see him in there right away. I do as well, if he's ready. The offensive line, we know, has got a lot of ups and downs, more downs than ups. I know that. I'm a realist. I mean, there's a reason why the over-under is 4.5. It's probably right. It's probably right around there. It's a brutal schedule. We all know it. The AFC East and the NFC East, both divisions have brutal schedules because they play each other. So, yeah, my expectation, I just want to see the development. I want to see the development of Drake Maye. And I hope I get to see him again on Sunday, even if it's against the 3s and the 4s for the Washington Commanders. I still want to see him out there. Just exchanging exchanges at center, that kind of stuff. I look for that fundamental stuff, and maybe some backups on the offensive line will show me something. But I want to see, once the season starts, I want to see development from my team, from my boys. I want to see it, and we'll see. Jason says Stugotz. Hey, Jason. Yep. Yeah, I told Angel knows that. I was the original Stugotz, not Stugotz with the Lebertard show. All right. Anyway, when we come back, more NFL news stuff, more college football news. A Red Sox report coming up at 8:15. At 8:30, Bill Sparrows from the Boston Herald and bookies.com senior betting analyst will join me. And then at 9:05, it'll be John Meter-Perrell, voice of BC football, voice of the ACC. And his knowledge is always welcome on this program. Good guy. We love him. And that's all part of the Pete Shepard Show. And you guys, thanks for checking us out. Text or call the show at 727-858-6650. Extensive Coastal Sports Media video platform, which I'll go over again after we come back from this quick break here. It's the Pete Shepard Show on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Jim and the Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our second location. It's on 41 just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak from Maxwell Polish. Now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu.
Hey guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced Chardonnay.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have any body to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. No, you won't. Because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
The Pete Shepherd Show. It's fun for the whole family. If it's dysfunctional.
What? No dysfunction here. Usually. It is hour number 2 of the Pete Shepherd Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. Thanks, everybody, for checking us out on the video platform. Following me at PShep326 on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Facebook, SR1029 The Game, and SR1029thegame.com. Ion TV, CSN Florida, Rumble, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitch, and YouTube. You call or text the show at 727-858-6650. Rest of the day is jam-packed here at 8:15. Do my daily Red Sox report brought to you by Moynihan Lumber. That's coming up at 8:15. Preview tonight's game between the Sox and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Also a little bit later on at 8:30, Bill Sparrow's bottom of the hour from the Boston Herald and senior betting analyst at bookies.com. And then John Meter-Perrell for his weekly visit, talk about not just BC, but the ACC in general. Big game coming up right out of the gate, week 0 tomorrow in Dublin between Georgia Tech and Florida State. Also going to hear from my buddy Gabriel Morency, who's going to give you 4 great picks. I agree with all of them coming up for week 0. Angel Martinez, of course, he is on hand as well, executive producer and co-host extraordinaire. He's got his own show coming up today after this fine program is done from 10 a.m. until noon. Lots of good stuff. And also, forgot to mention that those of you, especially up in New England, know Patrick Gilroy. Pat is a frequent guest on this show as well. With great NBA insider, awesome stuff. But he's got his own podcast that is part of this network as well. Angel, take it away with Cat and Pat. It is hysterical. It has usually nothing to do with sports.
No, it's not. It's Let's Chat with Cat and Pat, it's always a great time. He just sent me the new one, which I have to upload to the station as well. And it's a great time. You guys want the actual rawness of a relationship, about your kids, about different things. It is the best. Like it ranges. Sometimes it can go on for 20 minutes, sometimes for 30. Other times it could be an hour. But they will give you, if they had a camera to follow them around, I would love to see at the restaurant, especially at the house, because a lot of the conversation get back and forth with Pat and his fiance. It's a great listen. For those who are under the age of 18, I know you guys, I will put this out there. I would say not to listen to it, but you guys, listen, you're all adults. You guys can make choices. That's what life's about, making good choices. But it's a great time. It's a funny listen. And they put it out there. They really, really put it out there. So if you guys want something different to kind of just make your day kind of a little bit nuts, in the afternoon, if you check out the schedule, it'll be up there, which I have to do other things as well after my show. And then, of course, we have the drive tonight from 3 to 5 p.m. with Rich Quinones. But it is definitely the most rawness you will ever get out of conversation. And that's why we have it here on the digital sports station, because we don't hold anything back, period.
Nope, nothing. And those you want, I mean, as far as the radio wars and the trials and tribulation, what happened at WEI and at WKLB, the country station being they fired the morning show for no reason to replace it with some bullshit, stupid ass syndicated show out of Nashville. I mean, that's Beasley Media. That's just expect more budget cuts. Like I said, I'll get into this more with Bill Sparrows and more again with John Media Perel at the top of the hour and the bottom of the hour. But I somebody really in the business, if they have any balls, explain to me how rights fees are going to be paid to the Patriots, Bruins, and Patriots, Bruins, and Celtics over at the Sports Hub. How are they going to afford to do that? Somebody needs to tell me that when your stock is trading at under 65 cents a share. Somebody's going to have to really explain that to me. More savvy business people, and my instinct tells me they're not. They're not. We already know the Red Sox will leave an EI after this season. They're going into the Nexus, and whoever wants to pick them up can pick them up.
So what's the contract left on that, Pete?
Oh, they just signed a new 10-year deal with the Patriots.
Oh my God!
Like oh yeah. I mean, come on. If I were Robert Kraft, I hope you got the money up front. I hope you did.
Oh boy, because you're going to be chasing a lot of folks.
No, it's not just Odyssey. It's not just Beasley, Cumulus, iHeart. They're all cutting back huge, and they don't care about a lot of these people don't care about ratings. Phil Maz get great ratings up there. The whole station does. Zoe and Bertrand. Zoe's been on the show before. He'll be on again. They all do really well at 98.5 The Sports Hub. And I am telling you, because I have heard it, they don't give a shit about ratings. They care about clicks and writing on the webpage.
Yep.
Sad but true. Now they've backed off a little bit because not everybody in the entire company was doing it the way they wanted us to do it here in Fort Myers. So it was ridiculous. You think Felger was writing stories a day? And a lot of us, no, the producers were writing it. They attached names to them. That's how it was being done in some of the bigger markets as well. They closed down some people in Philadelphia and Las Vegas and some other places as well, Arkansas. It's just happening all over the place. And this is why digital radio, this is why the digital platform that we have, this is it. This is where it is. The one thing, Angel, can reiterate about the app, if you want to listen in your car, don't plug us in from the video app because it may come in. It's kind of icky. You want to go on 102.9 The Game, right? And just for now, and then it will be available in the App Store very shortly because Angel's put this whole thing together for the app to be available in the App Store. It takes several months to get that done, but you can still download the app and listen to it in your car. Right, the easiest way is to go to SR 102.9. Right.
Yeah, it's the easiest way to do it because the way I did it was to make it super convenient for everyone. It takes about 3 to 4 months for it to process through the apps. And the reason why it takes so long, because they have to scrub everything that you have. And I mean scrub everything. The initial app that I had downloaded, and this was over a year ago, Apple probably the hardest one to deal with. And they're the ones that will take the longest because on your website, even if you have other people that are obviously on our station, like Cat and Pat and others, Marshalltown Brothers, they're on there as well. But they basically make you strip things down to bare bones before you're able to do anything. And so I made it easier for everyone just to download it straight from there. And if there's any updates, any notifications, you guys will get it. Anybody who has it right now, you guys know I may have put out maybe 2 notifications. I don't inundate everybody with a ton of notifications, none of that stuff. I don't have time for it, nor do I want your phone to be, just chiming off at any time during the day. But it's the easiest way to do it. Later on, they'll be available on Google Play Store, Android, App Store, you name it. But it's a process and it takes a while. So I just made it easier so you guys have it available right now. And when you are listening to it, if you're working out at the gym and you're heading back to the house, just click on the digital radio app that you guys saw me talk about earlier. And it's right there available on the app. So you can, if you're working out at the gym, you got the live video going, great. When you jump back in the car, hit the radio player. Therefore, you can pick up right where you left off. And then once you get home, just hit the live video again. I make it super simple. And no one, and I mean absolutely no one, because I've done my research, no one is doing exactly the way it's built and designed here. So good luck to those who think they can get it done. Because I really am on a soapbox, but I will tell you this much. To be the best, you got to beat the best, and you got to wake up a whole hell of a lot earlier than I do. And I put in a lot of work.
Yes, you do. You're awesome. Again, doing the job of, I can't tell you what this guy does, a job of like 5 or 6 people. Rick is very full of himself this morning. I'm predicting the over bet for most of Week 3 preseason games, except maybe the Jets and Jags game. Well, you're 1-1. One game went under last night. One game went over the total. I would just stay away from Week 3 stuff. I told you the first 2 weeks, just bet the under. If you bet the under in every game of the preseason in the NFL, you can retire. Rick says, Rick's picks is off and running. Yes, it is. All right. And what?
Where is Rick? Rick, where do you have your picks at?
He's making predictions that every game in the NFL and this week is Week 3 is going over the total.
Oh, I got you.
That's his shtick. That's fine. We'll get to some more video stuff in a second. But right now, Angel, if you could go up and get ready for some MLB cuts, that would be great, because right now it's time for the Red Sox report, as we do every day at this time, Monday through Friday. Red Sox report brought to you by Moynihan Lumber. Check out their complete line of Anderson windows and doors at any of their 3 locations in Beverly and North Reading, Massachusetts, and Plastow, New Hampshire. So here we go. No game last night, so no sound to play for you from that game. But I will tell you that since the beginning of July, there has not been a major league team playing better than the Arizona Diamondbacks. They've been great. They'll attempt to extend that 3-game winning streak tonight. They opened up a 3-game road series against the Red Sox. The Red Sox begin this evening 3.5 games behind Kansas City and Minnesota. 3 games in the loss column. They are still hanging around. You can't give up. They're just there. They're one Royals losing streak away and one Red Sox little mini winning streak away from getting right back in this thing. They're still in the thick of it. I still think it's a huge uphill climb. Don't get me wrong. I'm just glad that they're keeping me somewhat entertained, but incredibly, taking 2 out of 3 in Houston after they got whacked last week by them was huge. So anyway, Torey Lovullo, everybody, Red Sox fans know him, the skipper for Arizona, for the Diamondbacks. Got them to the World Series last year. He'll be back in town. He is just a super guy. Anybody who's ever covered him has been great. The Dodgers, by the way, have won the National League West in 10 of the past 11 seasons. But based on their position in the standings, Arizona trails LA by only 4 games. So we'll see there. Arizona sending Ryan Nelson to the mound tonight. 8-6, 4.35 ERA. He's going to try to win his 4th consecutive decision. He has a 3-0 record and a 2.73 ERA. Since July. That's 56 innings, but he's never pitched against the Red Sox during his career. So for the Red Sox, righty Brandon Bayo is going on the mound, 11-5 with a 4.8 ERA, but that ERA is deceiving. He's much better than that. He's the scheduled starter. He earned the win on Saturday and that 5-1 win over Baltimore. He was outstanding, limited the Orioles to a run on 2 hits in 6 innings, struck out 6, and Baltimore did not collect its first hit, remember, until there were 2 outs in the 6th inning. Sox just completed a 7-game road trip with back-to-back wins over the Houston Astros on Tuesday and Wednesday, and they went a very respectable 4-3 on that trip. I remember saying, Angel, a couple of weeks ago, once that homestand ended, I'm like, if they can sort of remain somewhere between, even or within 3 or 4 games, that'll be something. So they went 4-3 on a very difficult road trip there. Alex Cora said that Rafael will play a lot of shortstop the rest of the way this season. We're still waiting to see if Trevor Story can come back as well. But Rafael has made 61 starts in center field and also started 59 games at short. And after Wednesday's performance, he led the American League rookies in hits with 118 and RBI 61 and runs scored 63. It's a fun team to watch. I think Alex Cora has done an amazing job. It sucks that John Henry is still in hibernation. It sucks that maybe they couldn't have done more. But the fact that this team is where it is, after I predicted them to finish in last place and not even win 80 games, they've completely exceeded my expectations. I'm sure everybody else's as well. So here we are, the 3.5 games behind, 3 in the loss column. And that is the Red Sox report as they begin a 3-game set tonight at Fenway against Arizona. Red Sox report always brought to you by Moynihan Lumber. Check out their complete line of Anderson windows and doors at any of their 3 locations in Beverly, North Reading, and Plastow, New Hampshire. I believe both games went over yesterday. I thought the Colts, Bengals, you might be right. I thought it was 41.5. I thought it ended up under by a half a point. You could be right. But yeah, that's not a bad play, Rick, going with all the overs in the last game. I wouldn't touch any of those games. I just told you, if you went last week, took the under, you went 15-1 last week to the under. 15-1. 727-858-6650. I was going to quickly do MLB rundown to try to get a couple of videos in before Bill Sparrow joins us at the bottom of the hour. Things are going to heat up because we will discuss the radio stuff that's going on in Boston, plus what's going on around in the world of gambling and a lot of other things. Chicago beat Detroit by a score of 10-2. Toronto over the Angels 5-3. Houston blanked Baltimore 6-0. Cincinnati, Paul Skeens, of course he won. Beat Cincinnati 7-0. What's interesting about this game is Brian De La Cruz, the outstanding, player for the Cincinnati Reds, who also stole a 60th base yesterday, which we played that cut for you. But he's been picked off 4 times this year, twice by the former LSU standout, Paul Skeens. Was awesome. Mets beat San Diego 8-3. Oakland beat Tampa Bay 3-1. Washington over Colorado 8-3. Yankees blanked Cleveland 6-0. Giancarlo Stanton had a big 3-run homer there. Atlanta over your Angels, Philadelphia Phillies by a score of 3-2. St. Louis blanked Milwaukee 3-0. And other baseball news: the Seattle Mariners fired manager Scott Servais after squandering a 10-game lead in the American League West. All right, if we could, Angel, before we have to do a quick break, and then Mr. Sparrows will come on with us. But I want to play a couple of videos, if I could. Go back to my Twitter account first. Here's a good one. Let's start. It's the second one down. Came across this from the NFL page. Tom Brady is a sports junkie just like the rest of us. Pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff here.
Do you have any idea what Sporkle is? No. Let's run through a little Tom Brady trivia here. Tom Brady's highest yardage wide receivers per season. 6 minutes, 63 receivers.
Are we starting 0-1? 204 is going to be Fred Coleman.
This is
Kevin
big.
Falk. Moss, Welker, Stallworth. That's easy.
He won't type Edelman for some reason. Sorry, Jules. Your biggest fan.
I wasn't there yet. 2001, Troy Brown, David Patton. Not bad. 2014, Gronk, Edelman. This is tough.
One more. Madden covers.
Oh, God.
Jesus. So you should get 2 of them off the rip, I would hope.
Here's Brady. Mahomes. I had 2 Madden covers.
Okay.
Patriots in 2017.
What years? Throw.
Peterson.
Yep. On a roll.
I got 43 seconds. I've got all the most recent ones. So 2012 Browns. You said that's a crazy one?
Crazy.
Oh, Peyton Hillis. Omalu. 10 seconds. 2002 Vikings.
It's a QB.
Vince Young. And Dante Culpepper.
Go ahead, Angel. What?
Interesting.
Yeah, very much so. Meanwhile, a couple more here. Interesting with Tom Brady. And the other inside story you guys may not know, when I was over at ESPN Southwest Florida, so it did try. His dad has come on the show. Let's come on this program as well before. Tom Brady Sr., great man. And he had him on when I was doing my other show with Craig over at ESPN Southwest Florida. Did try my best. When Tom was with Tampa, did try my best to try to get him on a weekly show. Got in touch with his agent, Don Yee. And for a mere $293,000 for the season, he would have come on once a week with myself and Craig. But that wasn't going to happen. That was not going to happen. I said, tell him it's me. Can you just please, just to spare a few moments? He's like, it's not like when it was at WEI, Pete. It's not like it there, and blah, blah, blah. Went on this whole thing, and he's doing his own thing. And I was like, fuck, whatever. Fine. All right, if we could scroll down again to the Detroit Lions, you're going to love this. Dan Campbell, who I love. Lions are my pick. Baltimore and Detroit, just so everybody knows, for the record, is my pick to be in the Super Bowl this year. Ravens and Baltimore. Can't go against a team that's, the Kansas City Chiefs, who no one's ever won 3 in a row. Not that they can't. They certainly could. But I'm going to say this time, finally, that Lamar Jackson and company get it done. I thought they would last year as well, but that didn't work out so well. All right, here's Brad Galley's piece. He is the sports director over at WXYZ in Detroit. And this is a funny piece with Dan Campbell and one of his players. Make sure your dogs.
The performance was, the voice, it was pretty phenomenal. It really is.
Lions rookies have to perform for the team. Who could forget Aiden Hutchinson's Billie Jean rendition that made its way onto Hard Knocks? Dan Campbell gave a shout out to rookie running back Sione Vaki.
I don't know if it's the best performance, but as far as the best voice that I've heard, probably it's up there. Vaki's voice the performance was, the voice, it was pretty phenomenal. It really is. So maybe he'll sing for you guys sometime. You need to ask him.
Drum roll, please. After practice, the rookie took up his coach on his challenge and sang in front of cameras.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. I'll do a little something. Fair East Side.
Oh, Jesus. I've not heard
this. Will stand and always praise thy name. Praise thy name to heaven. Yeah.
Is that the song from Lean On Me?
Yeah.
That is.
Come on, huh? Let me join in the round of applause there. That's pretty good.
Yep. Yeah. It's from Lean On Me.
Lean On Me.
Yep.
Or Morgan Freeman. They used to call me Crazy Joe. Now they can call me Batman.
Yeah.
One of the great lines in movie history. When he tried to get that school in New Jersey, got them going by some unorthodox methods, yet they absolutely worked. All right, I thought we'd have time for a couple more videos, maybe a little bit later on. Quick break here, Angel. Bill Sparrows will discuss what's going on in Boston with the radio bullshit and people losing their jobs unnecessarily and the shuffling of chairs that mean nothing at WEEI. People losing their jobs in Morning Drive at KLB. We'll discuss that with him. Also, get his thoughts on the upcoming football season and odds and trends going on because he's a senior betting analyst for bookies.com as well. All part of the Pete Shepard Show here on a Friday on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Jim and the Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our second location. It's on 41 just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak, our Maxwell Polish. Now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu.
Hey guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it Gardenia. It's pronounced Chardonnay.
Ion Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, iontp.com. Ion Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, the game powered by Ion Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding.
Whoa!
Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woo-hoo. Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
You want the best in sports and entertainment? You got it. Now back to the Pete Shepherd Show.
Welcome back. It is the Pete Shepherd Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. And without any further ado, joining me right now for his weekly visit, the one and only incredible from the Boston Herald and senior betting analyst for bookies.com, it is Bill Sparrows. Good morning, Bill. How are you today? Are you outside? It's sunny. Where the hell are you?
Pete, you are looking live at Lee, Mass. Beautiful Berkshires.
Wow. It's the last city on the Mass Pike that you can possibly before hitting Albany. Wow.
Pretty much.
Earlier, you were in the mountains of North Carolina earlier this year, all alone in the forest, like Deliverance. Now you're in the Berkshires up in Lee. Nice. How is it up there?
I'm getting my dose of culture. I went to 2 museums and a play. So
look at you, Hercules.
I'm set for the year. Pinky's up.
What museum?
The Clark Art Institute and the Norman Rockwell Museum, which is having, if you're in this neck of the woods, the Norman Rockwell Museum is having a Mad Magazine exhibit. It's fascinating. They have the original storyboards that were, the original drawings, the original, boards that they use in the magazine. Some of the original covers, lots of biography, lots of background on the people who ran the magazine, and it's really fascinating. You wouldn't expect that at the Norman Rockwell Museum, but it was pretty cool. I would highly recommend it.
Alfred E. Newman greater than the Mona Lisa. That's what you're telling me.
Pretty much. And interesting, there was a exhibit about how the people at MAD wanted Norman Rockwell to do a Alfred E. Newman portrait, and they have the letters that they were sent back and forth, but he opted not to do it because he was afraid it would, he wouldn't do it right, and people would be upset about it. Really interesting stuff.
That is. That's all. Man, that's awesome. I did not know.
I have to get my week of culture before football season sucks up the next 5 months.
Well, that's why. I mean, yesterday you're supposed to come on. I didn't know you were out in Lee, and then you sent me a picture of what looked like a glorified egg McMuffin, except it was on a croissant. It looked very tasty. So I know you with your family.
That was that's a Ruth's Chris filet mignon to a Howard Johnson Salisbury steak. That sandwich to the egg McMuffin. That was a high end.
Yes.
Berkshire County breakfast nook bacon sandwich. It probably cost about $84 or something.
Oh yeah.
My sister-in-law picked up the tab, so I went all in and got coffee too.
Fantastic. All right. Before we get into a whole bunch of stuff, your Twitter page, today, filled with all sorts of stuff from Tim Waltz pulling his son, who's got a learning disorder. It looked very awkward, to your mentioning of in Seattle. I just mentioned it a few minutes ago before you came on, that Scott Servais fired yesterday by the Seattle Mariners. Found out by watching it on TV. It sounds like an old Red Sox regime move back in the day. Interesting stuff.
Well, that's how Biden found out he got fired. He saw it on television as well.
Yeah, exactly. But the big story around New England, and we've gained a lot of New England listeners the last couple of days here. It's been great. I mean, the radio crap that's going on, the reshuffling at WWI. I know you're not a media writer per se, but I know you follow this stuff. And then, my former company, Beasley, firing everybody, or firing the morning show. Former Senator Scott Brown's daughter as well, who did a very good job at KLB. She's out. Along with a co-host, they replace it with a syndicated,
that's terrible.
Out of Nashville, but it's what they do. It's not totally unexpected. That's what they're doing. That's what Odyssey's doing. Accumulate. They're all doing the same thing, and it's a shame. There's a lot of good people losing jobs in this business, and it's not because of ratings. It's not because of ratings. And I'm still trying to figure out, Bill, really, how in the hell that Beasley Media is going to pay for the Patriots, Celtics, and the Bruins over the next 5 to 10 years. They just re-up. If I were Robert Kraft, I hope he got the money up front. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I remember when we talked about this, privately, and you brought up such a great point about, one company is literally in bankruptcy, and the other one is teetering on bankruptcy. I worked for a company that was in bankruptcy, Tribune, so I actually know what this is like. And, no matter how good or talented these people are, and I know that Andy and Christian, are having problems with the ratings, but I know that wasn't the case on some of these other stations. But, like you pointed out, wisely, I might add, when the macro picture is so bad, the micro picture doesn't matter. If you're a company like Odyssey and you're in bankruptcy, everything you do has to be approved by the bankruptcy court. So, you're limited in what you can do, even if you want to do something. Who's to say they don't want to, maybe try to get a bigger name in the afternoon, or, try to make a run at Michael and Tony, but they might not be able to, just because of the parameters set in terms of budgets and set in terms, again, when companies like that file for bankruptcy, they ask up front that they can continue to, pay their employees, offer benefits, pay suppliers in cash or whatever. So I would imagine that these budgets that they're working on were probably part of, perhaps their initial filing, or they have to go back and ask the court for, approval to spend money because they have creditors that they have to answer to. Now, we know Beasley's not in that situation yet, but, you don't have to be a Warren Buffett, to see some of the gray clouds out there on the economic front, in terms of hiring, in terms of jobs that weren't there, in terms of companies, talking expansion versus contraction. And so, you're probably going to see things tighten up in general. And when you have these companies on the margins, it's just magnified, exponentially.
But you see how, I mean, the stock is trading at 64 cents. I mean, 63 cents. I mean, come on. What are we doing? Like you said, I brought this up yesterday too. It's a great point. You just kind of backed up what I was saying, because Mike Thomas professionally in this situation, not personally, but professionally, and he'd been fired a long time ago, with ratings like this, and the consistent ratings, and now they're just shuffling chairs around. And I brought up the point yesterday, since probably because his hands are tied. That's the only reason why he's doing this, because he and I have had our differences in the past, like 14 years ago, about this, that, or the other thing. But I also know he's a pretty smart guy. I mean, I know he knows what he's doing. He built up Sports Hub. I know he was trying to do the same thing at EEI. But I do think now, you just reiterated the point, I think his hands are tied. He can't all he can do is shuffle people around. That's it.
I mean,
But that's not going to change anything.
He's constrained by budgetary limits, which are not even necessarily arbitrary like John Henry's, but much more so determined literally by a bankruptcy judge in Delaware. So it's a very different situation than a Beasley, which is just cutting, like you said, that your colleagues and friends at the country station and elsewhere. That's more a situation of them trying to perhaps avert a similar fate as Odyssey, not knowing what their books are like. So yeah, it's a terrible business. It seems from every what you say. I know your clip with Dave was making the rounds again. Boy, does he look young in that one. Geez, how long ago was that?
Unbelievable. Talking about David Field?
No, your clip with Portnoy.
Oh, that. Yeah.
Ticketship.com.
Oh, yeah. That was.
That's a classic.
Yeah, it is. But that was down at the night. What's the place in Woonsocket at the casino?
Yeah.
They had just opened up. We were at Freddie and Steve Steakhouse and everything. That was 2010.
Oh, wow.
So I was like 55 pounds heavier. I mean, I told you, I'm 100 pounds less than I was back then.
Wow. Great.
But yeah, that was, I love Dave. I love my friends at Barstool Sports to death. Jerry Thornton's on the show a lot, and Dave.
But what you said then, it was 14 years ago, but it's still very prescient in this. I mean, think about it. This was 14 years ago. And has the landscape changed much at all?
And they rehired me twice after that. Twice I got back. And when I left the last time, I was on good terms, and Joey Zambrano was there, and he was good to me. But I always told him back then, this was well after Jason, I said, put Jerry Thornton and I on Afternoon Drive. We will fucking kill it. I promise you, we would kill it. It'd be a whole different new approach. I loved working with those guys. I loved, I did mostly the Real Postgame Show for many years, over a decade, with great people like, Steve Diassi and Freddie Smirlis, and it was great. But the one year that I did the pregame stuff with Jerry and Chris Price and Tom E. Curran, and Christian Fourier and Field Yates. I mean, it was phenomenal. And Jerry and I have such unbelievable chemistry. I always said, put us in Afternoon Drive and you'll see, you watch. Because what I hate about these other shows, or a lot of them, they're fake contrarianism. And I always said, I can't stand it. If it happens that you agree with your code, you agree with them. And it's a way to do the fake shit because you think it moves the needle, because you have to vehemently disagree on purpose. It's so transparent, and I bring it up all the time. You can't get away with that nonsense in the Northeast, in Boston, Philadelphia, New York. You can't. But some of these people still try to do it. It's just some phony baloney. It's not entertaining. And a lot of those people that are making these decisions that really need an enema. They really do.
Well, yeah, I mean, your point about the market, when I write for the Herald, I know my audience, or try to know my audience. So, you do have to know the people you're trying to reach, and you have to understand what's important to them, how they view things, how they think, sort of what their mindset and demographic is, just to better communicate with them. There are some things that might work in Boston that wouldn't work in Kansas City, and vice versa.
Yes.
And I think it's really about being genuine. That would seem to be the most important thing for someone who's speaking into a microphone 20 hours a week, which to me is really difficult. You really have to be sincere and genuine. And yeah, if you're faking it, I think people are gonna realize that, and they just won't tune in.
No, I totally agree. Again, Bill Sparrow's joining us from the Boston Herald and senior betting analyst at bookies.com. Red Sox get back at it tonight. Both series important with Arizona still hanging around. They're still still making me watch. They took 2 out of 3 from the Astros, which I didn't think was going to happen, but
No, very surprised.
They did it anyway. John Henry's still nowhere to be found. The story out this week about Bezos maybe trying to buy the Celtics. Any thoughts about that?
Well, I wrote a piece in the Herald about it this week. I think it would be terrific, and the guy has money. He could buy the entire NBA and still have $50 billion left in his bank account. So that gives you an idea of the financial scope that he could bring in. The league would love to have a guy like that because he's going to pay full sticker and not think about it. Now, I've heard he's not interested. I've heard he's interested. I mean, he did try to buy the Commanders in Washington.
Yes.
So I think he's got the itch. And I don't think that, Bill Simmons is in the business of making things up. I think he believed what he said. I think he believed he had a credible source. And, I'm not going to say it's going to happen or it's not going to happen until it happens. It doesn't happen. But, my editor asked me, hey, what do you think about this? And, I offered my thoughts. I think it'd be terrific. I think it'd be great for the team. I know I've never worked for the guy. I know if you're in the warehouse, you got to pee your pants because you can't go to the bathroom and all that. But I also know that I think he would leave well enough alone. For me, they've locked these guys up contractually for the foreseeable future. For me, the concern for a new owner would be Brad Stevens. Would this be a situation where Jeff Bezos would come in and just say, keep doing what you're doing? Let me know if you're going to go another $200 million over the luxury tax, and we might have to talk. But otherwise, keep it up. Or is this going to be Heim, Bloom, Chad, Craig Breslow, Bloom the third, and bring in some guy who's just going to operate under the asset management mentality of Fenway Sports Group. I'm not counting Henry and Pizzuti out. I think they would love to own the Celtics. I don't. To me, it's a perfect fit. I don't know if they would be able to swing the deal. The capital management company that they're linked to, Redbird, they got about $2.6 billion in available funding. So I would imagine that Fenway Sports Group, if they go in with them, would probably have a 60-40 split in terms of ownership. And John Henry's told us he doesn't sell assets, but Redbird Capital sells assets. That's how they make their money. So I'm thinking if he brings in a partner, he's going to have to come up with a way to buy them out in a few years, given his track record of not selling things. So maybe he would sell something else to cover that note. Or maybe these people would be satisfied with an 8% return on their money every year come hell or high water. So I think they can get enough money together, but I also think that somebody could come in and Bigfoot them and just pay all cash straight up. And the league, this is the league decision. Everybody talks about Wick and Herb. No, the NBA is going to make this decision. The NBA is going to approve the best deal for this. It's the same way when the Red Sox when Henry bought the Red Sox, they weren't offering the best price. There were other groups that offered more money, but Major League Baseball wanted Henry because he was a known commodity and he had cut them a solid with the Expos. So the NBA is going to have a lot of say on who buys the Celtics. People need to understand that. So if there's a Jeff Bezos who's going to come in and pay $6 billion in cash and do a clean deal, the NBA is going to jump at that in 2 seconds. So
what about and excellent points. But what about, would they take into consideration that LeBron James is part of the Fenway Sports Group? If the Henry, if they wanted to take over, would that?
Well, that would have to be,
a detriment.
No, I mean, he cannot have an ownership stake as a player.
Yep.
And you know, we went through this with Tom Brady and the Raiders. There's a couple of things that people need to understand. Every single player contract has to be approved by the players union. Remember, when the Red Sox traded for Alex Rodriguez, the deal fell apart because the players union would not approve the contract because A-Rod would have taken a pay cut.
I was on the air that day with Peter Gammons. I'll never forget it.
That is how the Red Sox saved themselves. The Major
that deal
League
was done, Bill. Bill, that deal was done. Everybody knew it.
It was done, but the union did not approve the contract because they would never let anyone take a pay cut. So people have to understand that LeBron James, Tom Brady, their contract has to be approved by the players union, and the players union would immediately void the contract of any player who had an ownership stake in any team, period, full stop, forever, amen. So if Fenway Sports Group buys the Celtics, it would have to be structured in a way that doesn't include any of LeBron's holdings until he retires. That's more of an accounting maneuver than anything else, but it does have to happen. He cannot have an ownership stake in a team as a player because the union would consider that a diminishment of what he would be making otherwise, and they would not sign off on the contract. And Adam Silver is nobody's fool, and neither is Roger Goodell and his Hitlerian management style. Those two guys would never, ever approve a contract where a player has an ownership stake. It would stink to high heaven. You know, it would just, it wouldn't be right. So the LeBron factor is an issue only as long as he's a player. And I don't think it would even hinder a deal right now because they would just structure it in a way where his stake isn't part of the deal until he retires.
Oh my goodness. Well, last couple of things. So let's get into the betting world. Week 0 begins tomorrow. We're all going to be watching Georgia Tech and Florida State, a couple of other games, and some other interesting lines that I think are way, way off, especially the Delaware State line. New Mexico, lay the 40. Lay the 40. Go look at Delaware State's record against Division I teams. They're an FCS team. They get clobbered. They get clobbered. But anyway, that's another. Or Hawaii, I should say. They're playing Hawaii, the late game. But what's going on? Anything new before we get to lines and trends and all that stuff? Anything new going on in the betting world?
Well, there's some issues with the proposed amendment, ballot initiative, whatever you want to call it, in Missouri. I'm off this week, but I've been keeping an eye on it. There was a lawsuit filed against the ballot initiative, but I don't think that's going to go anywhere. That's really more like inside politics, inside baseball. Again, the next milestone will be if that initiative passes in Missouri, and they legalize on paper this year and probably go live early next year. The legislative season is over, so we're not going to deal with any of that stuff again until January. And other than that, we killed the DraftKings excise tax, big juice, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So no, I think what you had, you had good earnings for FanDuel and for DraftKings and Caesars. The market, the operators, publicly traded ones that report, all did pretty well this last quarter. My company had an exceptional quarter. I think there were a lot of concerns about certain things industry-wide that didn't materialize. And, the second quarter, the quarter, March through June, I think a lot of the books did well because you had, frankly, I think in a lot of ways it was because the Celtics went to the finals and they drew a lot of betting interest. I broke out the numbers in Massachusetts. They handle 150 million just in Mass. So I think the Celtics being in NBA Finals was a big boom to the books. And I think next quarter you're going to see better numbers. I think there was much more betting on the Olympics than anyone expected. Mm-hmm. They demolished. There was 7x versus the Tokyo Olympics, which isn't a surprise, but there was significant handle brought in on the Olympics. I don't think all the people I talked to didn't expect it. I wrote that I thought the Olympics would do well because of the fact that everything was live in the U.S. and they were in Paris. The ratings were good. The Americans did well. They kind of gagged in the gold medal count against China. They should have won that. But the Americans went over on their projected medal totals, under on their projected golds. But I think Scottie Scheffler Winning that gold
That was
medal in
amazing.
golf,
Yeah.
that was a big win for the public. That was probably the biggest liability of the Olympics for the books. Because they had such long odds on like Katie Ledecky and the 100-meter winner and some of the gymnasts. Of course, a lot of states weren't taking action on the gymnasts, and now you know why. Let's give the Mass Gaming Association a little props here
Yeah.
for not taking action on the Olympics. If you had that young girl to medal, you may never cash that ticket. So, kudos to them for not taking action on these sort of events like gymnastics and figure skating because they're all rigged.
Well, it's been that way for a while. Last thing, Bill, I'd be like my 30 for 30 voice. What if I told you? If I told you 5-10 years ago that a WNBA game would be sold out at TD Garden with 19,100 plus? You would have thought I was nutso, right? And that is amazing what happened the other night.
I think it's incredible. I made a joke in my column the other day about how the Boston Freedom and Bezos Celtics will be playing in the Seaport Amazon Center someday. I think and again, this isn't going to happen overnight because of the deal with the Bruins. But if and when you have an NBA arena in Boston, you will have a WNBA team in Boston. I think it would do well. I don't know if it would be the team from Connecticut or somewhere else. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese.
Mm-hmm.
Both that dynamic, it was like a perfect storm because, they had sort of coming into this year, they had that rivalry from last year, and you had the betting this year on the NCAA tournament. This was kind of the, like how everybody talks about the NFL when the Jets won the Super Bowl. That's really what made the NFL. It sort of had, codified the merger. And this NCAA tournament is what made the women's tournament a legitimate betting event. And that has carried over into the WNBA. And I know gambling is a lagging indicator, not a leading indicator. But I think that, you're going to see, and you're seeing it this year, and from this day forward, the WNBA is not a punchline anymore when it comes to fan interest and when it comes to betting. It's a legitimate
product,
event, sport. That's a perfect word for it. It's a legitimate product. There is an interest in it. It is compelling to watch for those who are into it. And from a gambling perspective, there's action to be taken and there's money to be made. So now Caitlin Clark didn't play the other night, but a rising tide lifts all boats. That is one of my truisms of life. So her presence in the WNBA has lifted everybody, and it's going to continue to do so. And I'm not surprised in 2024 that game sold out. I'm sure they're going to have at least 1 or 2 games in Boston every year moving forward. And eventually, once the arena situation is set, you'll have a team here.
Bill, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your vacation at Lee. I didn't know you were on vacation this week. I really wouldn't have. So I really appreciate you taking a few. Be careful of all the wildlife out there.
Oh yeah.
Deer and all that stuff. You don't have the gators like down here, but you got bears and cougars.
I'm more concerned about the giant moon bats. They're vicious.
You can't kill them.
Oh no. Especially the masked moonbat of Berkshire County can be really nasty if you get too close at the museum. They shoot you the evil eye, and then they take a dump on your car as you're leaving.
Malocchio, as we say in Italian. Anyway, Bill, thanks so much. We'll talk to you next week. Enjoy the rest of your vacation. Thank you for taking a few minutes. Bill Sparrows from the Boston Herald, great columnist, and you're welcome. And senior betting analyst at bookies.com. All right, quick break, and then John Mita-Perrell is going to join me as well. Coming up in just a few minutes right here as we get into the third and final hour of the Pete Shepard Show here on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Jim and the Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our second location. It's on 41 just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak, our Maxwell Polish. Now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu.
Hey guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced Chardonnay.
Eye on Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, iontp.com. Eye on Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, the game powered by Eye on Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. No, you won't. Because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
You're listening to The Pete Shepherd Show.
Welcome back to hour number 3 of The Pete Shepherd Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. Thanks for checking us out across the video platform. Following me at PShep326 on X, Twitter, on Facebook, on SR1029 The Game, SR1029TheGame.com, ION TV, CSN Florida, Rumble, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitch, and YouTube. You can call or text the show as always, 727-858-6650. Can't get to all the nice tweets that everybody's talking about on Twitter and talking about the program. A lot of newbies from a lot of people from New England are tuning in for the first time, knowing that I'm here, and that's it. What you see is what you're going to get. You're not going to get any bullshit. I don't have to answer to anybody except me. That's it. So I'm going to, no matter what we're talking about, you're going to get honest commentary and honest comments from me. You may not. I don't expect everybody to agree with everything I say, but I'm just going to tell you from my sources and everything else, particularly in this industry, in the business, about terrestrial radio. I've got a lot of sources, a lot of inside information, and really, you don't really need a lot of. The only inside information that you need to know is that certain PDs hands are tied because they're in because companies are in bankruptcy, that kind of thing. But that aside, I don't do fake contrarianism. Yeah, we talk a lot of New England sports. We talk a lot of Florida sports. Angel is from Philadelphia, so I'm still hoping there's a chance that the Red Sox and Phillies could meet in the World Series. It's an outside chance. Your Philadelphia Philly fans are they're like Red Sox fans in a lot of ways. Even though they've had one of the best records in baseball all the way, but they've lost a couple of nail biters lately. A couple of I want to make sure. Oh, Meter needs a link, Angel. Give me 5 minutes. He needs a link, if that's all right. Now, he's on every week, Angel.
Yeah.
Meter's on every fucking week. And why do we have to send a link every week? I love Meter. He's one of my favorite people in the world. But Bill, we don't have to send Bill a link every week. He's on.
I don't know. I don't know. It's can just place it, copy paste it somewhere, and ta-da. But yeah, don't know.
Anyway, well, okay. While we're waiting for Meter to be his procrastination as we get into week 0 in college football, but look, I do talk a lot of New England sports around here, but it's also a lot of Florida sports, and we're a national and worldwide show. We're on in almost every country. I mean, you get to see the list that Angel has and the map of the world where people are listening. It's crazy. So yeah, I mean, I try to be. I just whatever is entertaining. If it happens to be coming out of New England, fine. If it's in Jerkwater, USA, in Idaho, that's fine too. I don't really care. Not that Idaho's Jerkwater, great potatoes, but. You're going to get the most entertaining stuff, and there's no hold barred. We can, I don't try to overly cuss. There are other days where I do, but nothing needs to be edited here or any of that crap. We don't answer to anybody. We just play what we want and ask questions later, and it is what it is. That's what I do. That's what we do. So you're going to hear honest commentary. It's not a lot of kiss ass stuff. I totally understand. Like I've talked about with the Patriots, all I care about is have some progression here as we move along. The Red Sox have exceeded my expectations. I predicted the Celtics would win the championship before the season started. And you will always get a ton of Bruins talk and hockey talk once season begins. At least 3 days a week, 3 segments. Not just from Bruins people, but from Tampa Bay Lightning people, Florida Panther people. I mean, it's been fantastic. And down here I am in Fort Myers in Southwest Florida, where there's a lot of transplanted New Englanders. A lot. We have the privilege of the ECHL at Hertz Arena, the back-to-back 3-time defending ECHL Kelly Cup champion Florida Everblades, which we have people from that organization on, whether the coach or Chris Palin, GM, or players every single week. A lot of those guys from New England. There's a lot. I'm just telling you, it's great. So we cover everything. And 3 hours sometimes doesn't see enough, but 3 hours is, doing this 38 years, is a lot easier than doing 4. And there's certain days where we'll end at 2.5, 2 hours and 45 minutes. But for the most part, because Angel has to get ready for his show like today, we probably won't go right till 10. We'll probably end it somewhere between 9:30 and 9:45, and then give Angel the time to set up his show, take a break, go pee or poop or whatever he needs to do. Because Angel, again, I'm in Fort Myers, Florida. Angel is in Tampa. And we've had some severe weather the last few days, but we're not supposed to get anything until about 6 o'clock tonight. I don't know about where you are, Angel, but right now it's a beautiful day here in Fort Myers, sunny, 82 degrees. So
yep, that's the way it is right now. It's sunny. It was a little bit of haze if I look out my studio window here, but yeah, we're not supposed to get anything. I think a little bit later on. I know during the men's match last night at Corbett, they got a tiny bit of rain, not too much, but it wasn't bad. Joey is
no, he's right. Joey B says Coastal Sports Network. When does the python hunting season start? We need a live remote. Well, it started early this week. It's a great point you brought that up. I saw it on what are these, the Wink News or NBC2 down here. It started. It started on I believe Monday. Yeah, and it is a major. It's a major issue down here because they were transplanted down here illegally, and I don't know what a couple of whatever it was. They have just these things are huge. These, it's like Anaconda in that movie. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm exaggerating a little bit, but man, oh man, it's crazy down here. Be careful walking through the woods. All right, Angel, let's go to my Twitter page while we wait for Mr. Procrastination, Meter Perel, to join us here. If we could scroll down, I wanted to give you my good friend Gabe Morency. He's got a yellow shirt on, a Michigan shirt on. He's a huge Michigan guy, even though he lives in Vancouver, British Columbia. If you know Gabe, he's been with me for a long, long time. He's with me on every Friday starting next week as well, breaking down, giving top picks, gambling picks. He's a huge Michigan Wolverine fan. He's a huge Buffalo Bill fan. So up until the Wolverines won the title last year, his heart was broken many, many times. But anyway, here's his stuff. His best bet segment is about coming up for week 0 in college football while we wait for Meter.
What's up, everybody? I am Gabe Morency, and the countdown to college football kickoff is nearly complete. Let's do this thing. We're going to Dublin, Ireland to kickstart the 2024 regular season. Georgia Tech and Florida State. Of course, the Noles went 13-0 last year, got left out of the college football playoffs. They lost a lot of talent to the National Football League, but they're still an extremely talented team. Look for them to pound the rock. DJ Hughes now the quarterback for Mike Norvell's crew. The point spread keeps on coming down. I don't know if it's going to come down any lower, but I'll tell you what, I like this Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket football team. They won 7-2 against the spread last year as an underdog. Haynes King, 27 touchdown passes. I think he's going to cut down on the turnovers with more experience. They have a potent and loaded wide receiver corps. I don't see any reason why Georgia Tech can't hang around in this football game. I think Florida State are going to survive, but I think they're going to get all that they can handle in a 30-27, 31-28, 34-30 type of entertaining football game. Weather should not be a factor in Dublin on Saturday afternoon. So give me the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets plus the points, and we're going to go over the number. You know what? I might be the only one that's actually excited about seeing Montana State and New Mexico play. Bronco Mendenhall is now the coach of the Lobos, and this Lobo athletic program as a whole, new athletic director, they have a little bit of money being infused into the program right now. Now listen, it's still a New Mexico Lobo football team, but never
back up a little bit later on if we have time, because he has some really good thoughts on SMU and Nevada and Delaware State and Hawaii, some numbers you may not know about. But joining us finally, the one and only John Meter Perel, who is the voice of Boston College football. He is the voice of ACC of basketball games on ACC Network and across the ESPN platform. And now he has a new gig with Andrew Marchand. So congratulations to Meter as well. Hang on a second. Let me do this. First of all, I'll give you this for showing up. Meter, your new gig with media writer Andrew Marshall, which is great. I always loved his stuff when he was at USA Today, I believe, back in the day. And now you're going to be doing a podcast with him every Thursday.
Yeah, he was with the New York Post beat. Now he's the Athletic senior columnist. So we are teaming up. We go way back. I can't wait. It's a little different role for me. I'm going to be, running with the ball a little bit as a media critic. You and I have dealt with some of those in the past, so I'm going to kind of sit in that chair for a little bit. It's going to be he likes the fact that I'm in the business and I'm on the ground floor and that I work in the business, so I can speak to what it all is. So I think it's going to be a must listen. Andrew always has great sources. He's broken a lot of stories. Every sports media in the story in the country, he's broken in the last 5 years. So thank you.
Well, congratulations. I'll be listening. I can't wait. We'll get to BC and get to the ACC stuff. I've been talking about the last couple of days, and because I have, we've gained a whole bunch of new listeners that finally found out where I am and what we're doing on the digital platform here at the Coastal Sports Network. The mess that's going on, and I know you do your show with Coach on Saturdays at WEI and Providence Building and all that stuff. It is really interesting. Not totally surprised. I think a lot of this has to do with people's hands being tied because of bankruptcy court and all that stuff. And then Beasley firing people at KLB, Ayla Brown and company in the morning and all that stuff. But what a wacky week in Boston Radio Meter. I'm sorry, did your phone start people still a lot? Do you hear what happened? Do you hear what happened? What do you know? What do you don't know? I was like, they're fucked. I don't know what to tell you.
Interesting summary on your part.
Yes.
Look, it's been a rough decade for that our former employee. And yes, I do, full disclosure, I still do work for them on Sunday mornings. So it's just unsettling. People, I think that's the best word to use. It's unsettling, especially for a legacy station. It's a brand in Boston. People still know WEI, but it just seems like they can't find the right fit. You and I have talked about this off the air. It's just a matter of figuring out ways to do things that the other. This is a revelation. I know this is really groundbreaking. Figure out ways to make people listen what the other guy's not doing, or make yourself sound a little bit more unique than the other guy. Or go find people like truly who they found in Charlotte, North Carolina, or others who have come from out of the market. It's okay. It's okay. You can dive outside the market. There's other markets that have a lot of talented people. You can bring them in. You can bring them in to help. I know Boston's parochial, but it's okay. Once in a while, a new voice doesn't hurt.
No question. I don't want to hop on it too much because the last 2 days we've had major discussions, and I do think a lot of people, guys like Mike Thomas's hands are tied because that's all he can do is move people around. They don't have the budget, and everything has to be approved in bankruptcy court now for them to do anything. I think a lot of people have to understand that, which I think I just had Bill Sparrows on. He explained it in layman very succinctly. And I think people have to understand that. The other stuff that's going on with, we always feel bad in the business, John, no matter who loses their job, because a lot of the times it has nothing to do with ratings, just people making management making cost-cutting moves. But it still sucks. It's such a cut-and-throat business. It's unlike anything else. There's no 2-week notice. There's a 2-second notice, and then it's bye-bye.
Yeah, and they can yank you off the air immediately. I left on my own volition. You knew that.
I did at the last time. The third time I left on my own volition.
Yes, and that's our good friend Kirk Manahan says, you were the trailblazer. I said, Kirk, it really wasn't that. I mean, it was difficult. It definitely was difficult. I took a leap. Mm-hmm. I thought I was going to get the Patriots job. We've gone over that, which is on 98.5. It was me or Sosi. So I love him. Good for him. But that was the leap I felt like I needed to take at that point. My contract was up, and I did it. It's not easy. But our friend Christian Fourier was off the air pretty much immediately. So it's and he'll be fine. I mean, those guys. It's an interesting business, but you also have to go in knowing, especially in sports radio, you have to go in knowing you're not going to have a 10-year run. If you do, good luck, and God love you. I mean, some do, but it's probably not realistic at this point.
No, I remember when I got canned in 2010, right after the show, and a lot of people were crying and stuff like that. The first person to call me, and I had my phone off because I didn't want to talk to anybody, was Bill Belichick. He was the first person to call me to say how upset he was and everything else, and if he could do anything, blah, 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 blah. The second person to call me was then Senator Scott Brown. And I'll never forget it. And said to express that they had found out.
Ayla Brown's father.
Yes, she just got canned yesterday.
Yeah,
morning drive. I mean, it's ridiculous.
BC basketball player Ayla Brown.
Yes, and I was gonna say, Meter, you came close to getting the play-by-play job. After I got canned, there was a rumor that Tangway was going to leave. I don't know. There was Gary Tangway. He's a good guy. We know him. He's a really nice man, good professional, TV guy mostly. And I don't know if he still does. I don't think he does anymore. The Patriots pregame show. So Bill called over to Sports Hub and he was going to leave. Bill's like, he called over there, and they didn't believe it was him. They called the producers over there. They didn't believe it was him. So you got to go through a series of like 9 questions to prove that it was him, because he was vouching for me. He wanted me to take over as the pregame show host, do what Gary did. And I was like, okay, that's great. But it never happened. Apparently there was some big sponsorship that he was connected to family-wise. You know how it goes. So that was that.
I know.
Yeah, so that was that. But interesting behind-the-scenes stuff that a lot of people don't know about. But what could have been, Meter? I could have been doing pregame, and you could have been doing play-by-play. How about that?
Yeah, Pete, you and I, you'd be smoking your stogies before and after the game, and I'd be joining you for some brandy afterwards as well. So, no.
Hey, let me ask you this: did you think about putting your name in for the Bruins play-by-play job?
Oh yeah,
on the radio, yeah.
I did, but it's also I haven't done hockey in 20 years, so actually that's not true. I actually did international hockey for One World Sports. Our friend Joel Feld, who used to run Ness and his network.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I did Russian. You love this. I did Japanese baseball. I also did Chinese basketball. I did the KHL on One World Sports out of Stamford, Connecticut, watching out of we were ahead of the curve, pandemic broadcasting, ahead of the curve, watching on the monitor. This is like 2014.
I remember. But I also remember, the one thing about the flip cards that you have, doesn't matter what sport. Thank God, and I hope every name is going to be spelled out phonetically. When you're doing Russia, that league, when you're doing Chinese basketball or Korean, whatever it is, that phonetic flip card is, you can't survive without it.
We got the lineups from the Yomiuri Giant games, and the games were like at midnight, right? So I'm dosing on the Mountain Dews to stay up, and we got the lineups faxed to us. They used to come in Japanese. I said to our producers, I'm like, I can't do anything.
What is that?
I'm like, get Daisuke Matsuzaka on line 1. I need a translator. I can't do anything with this. What do you want me to do with this? So thankfully they had someone on staff that could deal with it, but I had no idea. That was an experience. It's chapter 6 of the book. We had one guy.
You and I should collaborate. Yeah, go ahead.
One NBA announcer who shall remain nameless was calling a Yomiuri Giants game, probably 1 a.m. He fell asleep on the air.
Come on, who was that?
I swear to God.
Who? Come on.
Falls asleep and missed an inning, which in baseball is doable.
Unless you're Amazon last night, they missed a touchdown in the Colts Cincinnati game. Did you see that?
I did not.
They went to commercial. Al Michaels came back. Well, he comes back and says, because Al, he was pissed, but he came off. So he and Herbie were doing the game. He was like, for those of you who were in the kitchen, you missed the Colts touchdown. So did we. Fucking Amazon. Oh my God.
That's great. That's
so tell me who fell asleep. That has to be, come on. So somebody we all know. Is that what you're saying? Huh?
No, he's a great kid. His name's Ed Cohen. He's the New York Knicks radio broadcaster.
Oh, okay.
And
nothing wrong with that.
He's an college grad.
Francesa fell asleep on his show on WFAN back in the day.
All the time. We used to play that on EEI when Francesa, you wouldn't hear him for 3 minutes.
He was such a cartoon character at the end. He was a dick. I remember I thought Freddie was going to beat the shit out of him of whatever. I think we're in Houston, and our tables are on Radio Row where they put the big stage. So we're one place, and FAM was right next to us. So I've known Chris for years. Chris was always very friendly and everything else. Mad Dog and great. And Mike comes in and makes some snide remarks he's like, you people look like you belong on a Australian rugby team or something like that. And it was either Freddie or it might have been me. I'm like, fuck off. Fuck off out of here. You fat fuck.
Wow.
But, no, I was like, Freddie got up. I was like, that. And then there was another incident, too, we had with Warren Sapp. What a dickhead. What a dickhead he was.
He's awful. He's awful.
I said about a Miami player, but man, he was a D-bag to the 10th degree.
Well documented on Sapp. Yeah, he's there's a reason why he lost the NFL Network job.
Oh, yeah. No question. Anyway. All right, let's get into some real comedy. I am so excited. I'm sure you are tomorrow. I mean, I'm excited about the full slate because I'm going to put Shekels on all 4 games. Florida State, Georgia Tech kicks
off. Of course you are.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a reason. Montana State and New Mexico, our good friend Tim Brando, I believe, is doing that game on FS1. SMU and Nevada. And then Delaware State and Hawaii. Can the Rainbows or the Warriors cover the 40.5 spread? I believe they can. If you look at Delaware State's record against Division I teams, it is absolutely abysmal. But let's check in with the game of the day. I wish this game was at 3:30, not at noon, but I know it's an island, so that's okay. So the Florida State Seminoles and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, the line has gone from 13, where it's opened up. It's down, not even 10.5 anymore. It's down to 10. I still like the Jackets to cover. I think this is going to be a really, really entertaining game. Mike Norvell under a tremendous amount of pressure, and they're still whining and crying because they didn't get into the chip on their shoulder because they didn't get into the college playoff last year. And then I'm looking forward to seeing Haynes King, and I'm looking forward their coach Brent Key. I'm impressed with what I've seen. I've watched all the ACC shows, Meter, that have been on campus, including the one earlier this week at BC. Great stuff. I think everybody they did a great job. But your analysis of this it's just a big game right out of the gate here for the ACC.
It is, and it's all about the unknown in week 0 and in week 1 for that matter. I see it as a closer game than many feel. I think, and that's probably reflective in the Vegas line. Georgia Tech, besides King, I saw him up close last year and BC beat them. Eric Singleton's a really good receiver. Jamal Haynes is a terrific back. He ran for over 1,000 yards last year. Defense is okay, not great. It could be a shootout, 35-28, that type of game. But yeah, King is a dynamic player, and he'll match. He's better than DJ. He's better than Uiagalelei. But it's a matter of
really, you think so, huh? You think so?
Oh, he's a better quarterback. Yeah. No question in my eyes.
But will DJ have the chip on his shoulder again? Obviously, starting with Clemson, then goes out west. Oregon State lost everybody, by the way, and then you come here. You come back to the ACC. You don't think he's going to have a chip on his shoulder? You think he'll try to do too much?
No, I think what he'll do is they're going to try to pulverize their opponents, which means run the kid Roydell Williams from Alabama, who's a transfer. They have a couple backs like Lawrence Toafili, who's a physical back. He was the MVP of the ACC championship game last year. Florida State's going to be a lot of ground and pound, a lot of design rollouts for DJ. He'll run a little bit more than he did last year. Look, he's a specimen. He's 6'5", 240. I mean, that's a robo quarterback. So if he gets in the open field, look out. It's hard to bring him down. I saw his first game ever against BC. Broadcasting, we weren't there because it was during the pandemic. We were at Alumni Stadium calling it off the monitor, and he shredded the Eagles and looked like he was going to be an All-American. But he's had such a trick-or-treat year or campaign for him. He's now in his 5th year. Good for Norvell. He rolled the dice on him. Clearly needed a quarterback with Jordan Travis out. But he has 2 good quarterbacks behind him that they think are going to be good, and Glenn and Cromanhook. But I think it's going to be definitely more of a Florida State deal where they try to control the line of scrimmage. They have 3 pros up front. Maurice Smith, the center, is excellent. Myers, on one of their tackles, is excellent.
Yep, right tackle, yep.
And their defense lost a ton, but they also added Marvin Jones Jr., whose father was a great linebacker at Florida State. He's defensive end. They got to replace 2 studs with Fisk and Verse going to the NFL, but they always just reload. But I think it's a tough game for them in that they don't know what they're getting, especially on defense. They don't know how good they are.
And, just taking one more game, SMU, that's now in the ACC. And Nevada hasn't been great. It's just, the SMU's favored by 25. The people are expecting this to be a blowout. But just your thoughts, SMU coming into the ACC, pretty talented team. I mean, there's a lot to like. And the thing about SMU, and there was somebody on national radio that backed this up, I don't think people fully understand, I know you do, how much money that program has. And the people, they raised over $100 million for something that the alumni raised, the boosters raised, over $100 million. How they haven't been able to nail more deals or get more players, I'm telling you, that is one of the richest schools as far as raising money and getting it done. I don't think people realize that.
It's all oil money. Every school in Texas, Texas A&M, University of Texas, SMU, Texas Tech, even now, Mahomes just gave them $5 million, which is a drop in the bucket for him. SMU, the money's not an issue. The difference is it's legal now for them. Back in the day when the Pony Express was running rampant, it wasn't. They'll have no problem there. Good coach in Lashley. I saw them last year at the Fenway Bowl. They didn't like the elements. They were not a cold weather team. BC handled them pretty easily, but I expect them to be probably 7th or 8th in the ACC. They'll have a good year. There's no question the quarterback Stone's good. He's coming back from injuries. Backup's good. Jennings, he didn't leave in the portal. A good back that Brashard Smith coming from Miami. Got to rely upon him a lot. That's an aspect of their game they got to get better at. They definitely want to control the run a little bit better. But overall, I think they're going to be a tough out. BC's got them in November, right before Thanksgiving. Go there for the first time in a long time since the 80s. So I'm interested to see what SMU brings.
Before we get into the Eagles, Joey B says, hey, Pete and John, thoughts on BC coach Steve Addazio on ESPN as a college football analyst. Far be it from me to ever get upset from a professional level by another Paisan, another Italian. But he sucks. How do you take somebody seriously as an analyst who sucks so bad as a coach? Why should I listen to him?
Well, this is a tough one for me, so I'm going to go right at it. I like Steve a lot. I think he's going to be good.
Professional, not personal. It's professional.
No. I understand. I think Steve's going to be a good analyst because he always he doesn't really have his filter on a lot, and that's what you need. I think he can break down a game. Great guy to talk to. I talked to him in his office for an hour or two every Wednesday. I used to sit there just talking about football and life. I'm with you. He had problems as a game manager. He definitely had some issues on the sideline at times, but he did a pretty good job at BC. I mean, they had their years where they were good. They weren't great. But I think this is a good role for him. He's got a nice personality. He'll work well with Clay Matvick. And I think, it's a good start to a media career for him. I actually think he'll do a good job.
I hope you're right. I don't wish him ill will or anything. I'm just telling you. And I remember being on the air, and I believe he was the coach of the game. And the rant that I went on went viral because Army had just lost to Stony Brook by 20 at Mikey Stadium, an FCS team. The next week, BC goes to play at Mikey Stadium. We're carrying the game, so I'm coming on after the game. And normally, I would always want to talk BC football after the game, but there's always other shit that was going on that seemed to be more important from the pro teams. But I did either 2 or 3 hours on how pathetic it was because I said all week long, Army does one thing. They only do one thing, run, wishbone, all these different formations. It's all they did. And I believe they racked up nearly 600 yards against BC on the ground that day. It was awful. It was pathetic. And I called out every single coach. And somebody put together a video that had all their pictures up online from, defensive line coach. I was like, what are you practicing all week? This team only does one thing well. They just lost by 20 at home to Stony Brook. And now, this happens. I go, I'm so sick and tired on my football team in this period of losing. I said, and just getting humiliated is ridiculous.
But that was Frank Spaziani.
Spaziani. Okay, I couldn't remember who it was, but I remember that game, and he was awful too. No, who's the one that went to Colorado State and sucked there too?
That was Addazio. Addazio went to Colorado State.
Yeah.
But no, that was one of the worst losses I've ever seen from BC's perspective. It was just speechless. The last play of the game, they lost with 45 seconds left on a dive, and the safety bit on it, and the kid went 60 yards for a touchdown. And it was like slow motion. Pete Cronin and I drove home after the game from Army, and Pete was so upset. He was shotgunning beers and then throwing beers out the window on 84 in Hartford.
Oh, jeez. Oh, Lord have mercy.
They're still looking for Cronin, I think. This is, statute.
The only saving grace there is there's so much construction, which has been going on for 40 years on that highway over at 84. But
I was driving, just to clarify, but Pete was so upset. Every time we talked about the game, he'd shotgun a beer and just throw it. Like, Pete, you realize that might be a littering fine. But I'll always remember the agony that we all felt at the end of the game. My call, I don't know if you probably don't remember this, but my call was, Army's got heart. Army's got passion. Army was all Army. Because I was so
I remember playing it. And I remember Lenny Magliola and a couple other people called me on the way back. They were listening. They were dying, laughing, because I was so pissed, but it was, I was entertaining while being pissed. And because I was like, we only talk about this team when they suck, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of them being humiliated in games like this, where they're going up against a team that all week long they had practice against the Wishbone and the Army. That's all they do. They throw the ball twice a year, and then you rack up 600 yards in a game.
But I will say, Mikey Stadium, we were there last year.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It was pouring, but it is a bucket list destination if you're a college football fan.
I was there for an Army-Syracuse game many years ago, and it was a beautiful October day with the foliage and just the procession. I say it all the time. If anybody can ever get there, any of the academies for that matter, if you can get there, but Mikey Stadium is just outstanding. I mean, I've never been to Air Force Academy, but I know Colorado. I know it's there. Annapolis, I've been through that. I've been there, not to a game, but I know how awesome it is over there. So, but Mikey Stadium in the fall, on a sunny day, you can't beat it. I don't care who they're playing.
Yeah, you got to make it happen. But we're not in Dublin, Pete. We can pretend tomorrow.
We're not. Okay, your latest podcast with Bill O'Brien on BC. I thought he did a great job. I'm sure you saw the ACC network special that they did with all the campuses, and they're what I forgot about. You forget how beautiful the BC campus is. You okay?
Oh yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, didn't know forget an ambush
with a girlfriend in the background, but that's okay.
That's okay. Yeah, you forget how beautiful that campus is. When they did a little tour of Alumni Stadium, I forget what player was walking around, and you go down the $1 million step thing and all that, which wasn't there back when Peanut Gallery was there. They didn't have that, but it really is a beautiful campus.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It's awesome. I think we got Real Housewives coming on in the background, so you might have to deal with that. It's the Real Housewives of OC.
All right, real quick, what's the latest update on Boston College football? What's going on? Anything new? We're getting ready. First game against Florida State. We talked about that's right after they come back from Dublin, and not a lot of time for the Seminoles to rest. So maybe BC catches them a little fatigued.
Yeah, I hope so. I think, either way, I think BC's going to play a really good game. I think they're going to be ready. They're ready to hit someone else. They had the final scrimmage the other day. Bill, here's Harry the cat. We got everybody coming to the party today.
Hey, Harry. It's all right.
Harry's he's the official mascot of the Pete Shepard Show. But, no, I think the Eagles are going to surprise people. I think that's going to be your narrative. I think that, obviously they have a dynamic quarterback. Defensively, we'll see how the depth concerns me a little bit, especially against a team like Florida State who has so much depth. But I'm excited, man. I'm just excited to watch him go. Just excited for that first month. It's they got Missouri 2 weeks after Florida State. That's another top 15 team. You go to Missouri,
number 11, I think.
That could be interesting. So either way, just I think Pete, you're going to be surprised by how good the Eagles are on opening night.
And the last thing, and I saw this today. I didn't really get into it. I don't know if BC when they play Michigan State. Interesting. Adam Childs went on. Somebody asked him. He made like a gambling reference. They asked him about their opening game, and he said bet the over, which I thought was odd. The sophomore transfer that they had. Another one that left Oregon State. That's playing. Yeah, I thought that was odd.
You're going to see some shootouts. I mean, there's going to be a lot of shootouts in the ACC and all of college football. Yeah. There should be, especially in the first couple of weeks when defenses are, might be a little bit behind the offenses. Or then we've also seen the reverse of that. But I don't expect many 17-10 games.
No, unless Iowa's playing. That's about it.
Well, yes.
How about Coach Ferentz getting suspended for a level 2 violation? And woe is me, can't coach against Illinois State. The humanity.
Boy, that's going to be a tough one to not take on Illinois State. But Ferentz will be ready for those 12-10 games.
All right, finally, you got a new hairdo, or is that just the way it's coming over?
Yeah, I got it freshly coiffed yesterday. Thanks for noticing.
Is it frosted, or is it my lighting at your house, or is it me?
No, it's not frosted. It
looks light on top.
I'm premature gray.
Duck your head into the camera a second.
Yeah. Look.
Oh, okay. It's gray. Okay, it's a little gray.
My girlfriend's laughing about premature. She doesn't like it when I say that word.
Well, that's your own business.
Yeah.
I got no problems on that front.
You had me at hello. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Verify that for me, please. She's laughing.
It looks good, Meter. I noticed that as well when you guys were talking. You can see how the fresh new do, but it looks good. But boy, that's the way to end the segment there this morning.
Yeah.
Yes, Angel, it will live in prosperity.
All right, have a good weekend. Try not to be premature. We'll talk to you next week.
Yes, thank you, Pete. And if you are premature, call a doctor.
Later, Meter.
Take a bow.
Oh boy.
Oh man. Oh, that's funny. That's the best. John Meter Perel, voice of BC. I hope some of his students, because he teaches at BC too. I hope some of his students are listening. In the
Professor, I've got a question.
Angel, you know what? That's going to do it. You're going to get ready for your coming up. Thank you for all that you have done this week. Fantastic stuff. Tomorrow, I will be on Fort Myers Beach at Diamond Head Resort at Cabanas, and I will be watching Georgia Tech and Florida State, and then listening to one of my favorite bands of all time, Hat Trick, which is unbelievable. They have three guys, and they just play awesome classic rock, reggae style music. It is. Everybody knows all the words to all the songs. It's fantastic. So football, a couple of cocktails, beach, and a great band. It's a good Saturday, Angel. It's a good Saturday. What's up with your weekend coming up? Stop. You're so busy.
Yeah. Other than work as usual, tomorrow night we'll be down there at Riverfront Stadium for match number 2, Tampa Bay Sun Club against DC. So that'll be tomorrow night. And for every ticket sold, will be $1 will be going towards a women's campaign. So they can raise funds that way as well. So that'll be Saturday, and then Sunday, usually, like always, tons of work to get ready for the week to come up. So just and a little downtime.
All righty. Thanks again to all my guests today. Thanks to John Meter Perel, the Premature Man, and Bill Sparrows, columnist for the Boston Herald and Bookies.com, senior betting analyst. I am Pete. Thanks, everybody, for checking us out. Tell your friends. We'll be back Monday at 7 a.m. It's been a slice of heaven. Everybody, have fun. Have a great and safe rest of your weekend, wherever you are around this great country and around the world listening. We thank you for listening to the Pete Shepard Show on the Coastal Sports Network and across the video platform. Talk Monday at 7 a.m. As always, bye.